Whoops.
No.
I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. I just want to check something real quick. Sorry, stream. You're going to have to look at me. Check something real quick.
Why, are we live?
We are.
We are?
We are, yeah. Where the heck?
There it is. It just showed up. What's the thumbnail this week? Cool. Can we hear us? Yep. All right, you can hear us.
Excellent.
And I assume when you clicked the right screen that you can see us.
I'm assuming. I'm hoping.
Don't break my heart. My icky bricky heart.
Sorry.
I just don't think it understands.
My audio, my last few weeks, has been driving me crazy. So I just...
Because if you break my heart, my icky breaky heart, it might just blow up myself.
Because I'm like, why is it picking up? Like last week, the entire podcast was so friggin' echoey, and I couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, it's never this echoey. So now I just changed a bunch of settings. Sorry.
I understand.
See, I'm still wearing the logo. I'm still representing, but I am very much
I
three
can't.
layers.
It's too cold.
Okay, let's get that.
Can't do it. Too cold.
Quite frankly, don't want to do it.
Have 2 blankets on and a jacket. Still cold.
Still cold. We're here. We're gonna talk about movies. We're gonna talk about.
We're gonna power through.
Power through. It's canon January. January is the new December.
Why don't you go full screen? There we go.
Whoa.
So I can see less of my frozen ugly face. My cold frozen ugly face.
Oops, that's the wrong one.
I have to do the Jedi thing where you have your arms, both arms inside your jacket.
I was almost tempted to wear gloves. I was like, oh, okay, hold on, sorry. I'm distracted. I have become distracted.
Yeah, well, I have become destroyer, killer of worlds. Death. I've become death, destroyer of worlds.
I have become cold, destroyer of warmth. Okay. Oh, no. Bad. Okay, that's there.
Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, where we do the YouTube preamble and we stare at Justin's forehead.
As he sets up everything. You know what? You should appreciate it. You should appreciate it, Jordan. Okay.
Man, there's some shine on that forehead.
You know what? You know what? Shut up. Have you ever thought
I don't think
that?
I don't think your ring light is on because you're...
Oh, it's definitely on.
Oh, maybe that's where all the light shining on your forehead is coming from.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
That shiny forehead.
Shut up.
With that receding hairline that you're trying to cover with the hey, okay. I also have a shiny forehead and a receding hairline and a bald spot. That's right. I'm getting ahead of it before you can throw me under the bus. Welcome to the YouTube preamble where you hear us go do this back and forth while Justin sets up the stream. Are we ready yet? I'm vamping here.
You know what? At least my room has heat.
Shut up. Mine could. If I turn the heat on, I assume the thing still works. I wouldn't know. I haven't used it since we moved in.
Okay.
I don't normally need it.
Roasted. Okay, let's okay. Oh my god, it's so flipping cold. In 3.
Usually when I'm in my room, my entire body is under a blanket. It's not normally a problem.
Would you like to start the podcast, Jordan?
Yes, I would. Let's get to it.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Being a disruptive influence. 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to see plenty of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. That's aretemedia.org. A-R-E-T-E media.org. On with the show.
Oh, it's cold!
Flawless intro. Boom, baby. Did it. Nailed it every time. 100% of the time, I nail it 9 out of 10 times.
It makes sense. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Welcome to the Spurr at the Moment podcast. Spurr, it's cold. It's a very cold day in Canada. If you're watching on YouTube currently, I'm wearing 3 layers. For those of you who are listening on Spotify, I am wearing 3 layers. Jordan's wearing a jacket. He can't even. He's so cold. He can't rep the logo today.
I can't rep the logo.
He's not repping the logo.
Cold.
He's not repping the logo. It's too cold. It's too cold to rep the logo. I'm your host as always. I am Justin Spurr. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the incomparable Jordan. And Jordan, this morning, before we jump into the news, as always, I made a decision. I made an executive decision as our fearless leader. I determined, Jordan,
as you are known to do,
as I'm known to do, Jordan, as we are in our 100 subscriber era, which I've decided is a decade, which in YouTube terms means it's going to be like a few weeks. Where we're going to celebrate getting past 100 subscribers in style. So Jordan, I've officially decided that you always present yourself as being merely just the co-host, and you put in a lot of work into this and behind the scenes that people don't see. Most to all of our guests are because of Jordan's hard work. He does a lot of extra and additional work. We got rejected by someone kind of cool because of the hard work he does. So Jordan, I have made the official executive decision to promote you to co-producer. Now, Jordan, it's important to recognize though that does not increase your vote or your power. So you retain the same amount of power or control or vote, but this is merely ceremonial. But you can now tell people
it's really symbolic.
It's more of a symbolic gesture. Yeah, the fact that I made the gesture should be enough. It really will not affect or otherwise change the dynamic of the show, both off screen or on screen.
Okay. As long as we're on the same page about that.
Yeah, you can now officially tell people you also produce.
All right.
I will allow you to do that from now on.
All right. Okay. I respect it. I
figured you would. Yeah. On to the news. That was my one nice thing a year. Jordan gets one nice thing.
Oh man, you're throwing it out real early. We're not even out of just January.
Because I can call it now, and then when I do another nice thing later on, it's a bonus. So then you owe me. That's how it works now. That's the rules.
I don't think that's how nice things are supposed to work, but okay.
Anyway, on with the show. On today's show, Jordan, I have everything organized this week. It's awesome. We have Marvel news, including Anthony Mackie said some stuff about being Captain America that made America mad. We have really obvious guess who's what in what Marvel movie news. Multiverses be going down. Matthew Lillard is in Scream 7. Guess who in a mystery role? Guess who he's playing? Knives Out 3 is happening. Sebastian Stan responds to being The Apprentice. I've got so much news today, Jordan. There's so much news. And then later, we're talking kung fu action movies. We're talking Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Michelle Yeoh. We're talking China, martial arts. It's gonna be a good time. One of the movies was not a good time, but the rest of them were a good time. Jordan, firstly, Marvel news. It's a Marvel news bonanza. Let's start off. Sorry, I feel like I'm coming in so hot today.
Marvel-tastic.
It's Marvel-tastic. So Anthony Mackie, he said this. He made this statement while he was promoting something or doing something, where he was basically like, I'm over simplifying what he said, but the basic gist of it was he felt that Captain America should represent more than like just America. That he should represent like the idea of being better. And of course, people on the internet took that to mean Anthony Mackie said that Captain America shouldn't be American. But it's like saying that he shouldn't just represent America is like very Captain America. Like that's what that's kind of an entire portion of Captain America's identity.
I mean, on the one hand, yeah, but on the other hand, he's Captain America. He's not Captain North America.
Yeah, but there's a specific portion of Captain America's history with Steve Rogers where he rejects the notion of representing America. So there's nothing more like Captain America than that. So it's just funny that people are like, that's not Captain America. Like that's in fact very Captain America.
Hakime says Kung Fu Panda, which I don't think either of us watched.
No.
But that does have Kung Fu in it.
I will say what I watched this week gave me an appreciation. There's a bit in Kung Fu Panda. I'll jump ahead a little bit, but the fact that Jackie Chan plays Monkey in that movie is kind of, it makes me wonder if it's a reference to, we're going to talk about Drunken Master later. It makes me wonder if it's a reference to that. But anyway,
probably.
Speaking of Anthony Mackie, Jordan, and yeah, Jordan, he's going to be in Captain America. He's going to be in Avengers Secret War. Say it?
Yeah, duh. He was always going to be there. He's Captain America.
He's Captain America. Of course he was going to be there. It just makes sense.
Or, as I like to call him, Captain Falcon.
Oh, yeah, Captain Falcon. And last week, Benedict Cumberbatch, we talked about how he said that he wasn't going to be in Avengers Doomsday. He has now retracted that statement, and it turns out he is going to be in it after all.
Yeah, once you have Doctor Doom there, magic user.
Yeah, obviously.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
Well, I mean, if they're leaning in on the fact that Doctor Doom does magic, which, to be fair, they've never really done in the movies at this point.
Not really, no.
They've not really leaned into that.
They haven't really done Doctor Doom, period. I mean, what they've done is not really
properly. No.
I would say, like, the shitty Fox movies are as close as you get, and even then, no.
those, he at least kind of looks right, but he's not Doctor Doom.
He's still not Doctor. No, I mean, he gets as close. He touches it, is what I would say.
He touches
it.
He touches it with his pinky.
Yeah, exactly. With his pinky. And then continuing on with Avengers news, Chris Evans is Jordan. Of course, you're not surprised. Of course, you're not surprised. Denying that he's in the Avengers movie, saying he's enjoying his retirement, which, like, I don't understand why these Marvel actors bother, because there's no point. Why bother saying anything? No one's gonna believe him. Like, regardless, they're gonna hound him either way.
At this point, he can't. It's a no-win scenario. Nothing he says, nobody will believe anything he says. So why bother saying anything?
Right. Exactly.
Unless you're confirming,
right?
Like, if you're confirming, if you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be in it, then that's
it was the point.
That's one thing, but otherwise, what's the point?
Also, in unrelated news, your multiverses is being shut down, which, like, kind of disappointed about.
The fighting game.
Yeah, the fighting game. I like that game. I really wish they had spent money on it. Like, made it a paid game, give it a proper campaign, and actually, like, I hate these live service games because maybe these, like, Smash Brothers clones would, like, work if, I don't know, they put an ounce of effort into them instead of trying to milk an online community out of them that's endless.
On the one hand, I see where you're coming from. On the other hand, any game that tries to go up against Smash is going to have an uphill battle, is what I'll say.
But, like, I'm just saying, like, that game was at its most fun when that game was at its most fun. Sorry, I got distracted by my phone. That game was at its most fun when it was those cutscenes or those cinematics where it's all the characters interacting.
Yeah, well, that's my thing.
Is that spent, like, put money into a decent story mode, and then you would have something that would, like, stay with people. You know what I mean?
See, here's my thing, and this was always what I kind of felt about the multiverses games. You're right. I like them because of the trailers and the cutscenes and, like, the things where we see all the characters together, not the game. And so I'm kind of just left going, like, hey, Warner Brothers, maybe just make it a show.
Yeah.
Like, just make that a show. That's really what I want, or a movie, or something. But, like, I don't, unless, like, or a single player game.
Yeah, I mean, when we played it,
I don't really
just end up feeling like a less good version of Smash Brothers because they're in the infancy stage of what took Smash Brothers years to master. So I'm like, why would I? The only novelty to play, I will say, I haven't played the Nickelodeon one. The Nickelodeon one also looks fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I just think Smash Brothers is a better game.
The characters were unbalanced, and some were better than others, which was part of what made it bad. But like it had real balancing issues. But I think it's a better show than it is a game, as it is, as the game is.
I just think like a lot of these games that like have longer communities always have longer communities because they're single player first. Like all these games that are multiplayer first just like peter out because nobody's playing them like really long term. At least I don't think.
No,
this they're not got like cut off on the knees at like every time.
The reason why Smash has the endurance power that it does, and the reason why it has the community that it does, and this is the problem that a game like Multiverses faces rather. It didn't start as an online game. Smash started as a game that you could sit down with 4 people, 4 friends, and play in person together as a party game.
Right.
And then by the time it hit Brawl, then it introduced online play, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was a big deal that you could suddenly go online and play against completely random Japanese people or Asian people on the other side of the world.
Right.
That was a big deal.
I will say of the clones, like I thought Multiverses was the best one. Like to be fair, having not played, it's not fair. I have heard that the second Nicktoons one is really good.
But like it's trying to build itself like on the online aspect first before it gets to, and it just
I can't say that about to my knowledge. I think that the Nicktoons one, the second one, I think that does have a story mode, like an actual proper story mode.
I'm not even just talking about story mode. I'm talking about the fact that these games, which are arena fighters, they're built like if they're cloning Smash, which they're trying to. Smash is built around the idea of playing in person, not online.
Yeah, I just my thing is they just never quite feel as tight as Smash Brothers does. Like they always feel loosey. Like that Multiverse has always felt loosey. Where I'm like, this just feels like Smash Brothers, but not quite right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway,
yeah.
Next news that's like, come on. So they revealed that in Scream 7, Matthew Lillard is going to be in Scream 7. Matthew Lillard, obviously you know who Matthew Lillard is, right?
Of course I do. Shaggy, William Afton.
You remember, have you seen? I can never remember. Have you seen Scream at least once?
Is that the one where it's got the guy with the tiny hand?
No, that's a scary movie. We've done this bit before.
Then no.
He's spoiler alert for Scream. He's one of the first Ghostfaces.
Okay.
And at the end of that movie, he gets a television.
So he's coming back as Ghostface, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was the big thing. Is I'm like, oh, is he alive? Because that's been a big mystery in this franchise. It's kind of on par with Dr. Gordon being Jigsaw's secret apprentice of like, oh, is Stu Macher been alive this whole time? So yeah, they've announced that he's in it in a secret role. He's Stu. He's coming back as Stu. And it's just one of those times where it's like, oh, doing this ruins movies. Because it's like you see he's going to be in it, and like he's in it in a secret role, and you're like, come on.
How many secret roles could there possibly be in this thing?
Exactly. How many? There's only so many secret roles there could possibly be. So I don't know if I've told you this story. They're making Knives Out 3. I'm really excited. It's called.
That was one that I watched for this show. I believe, right?
It's called Knives Out 3: Wake Up Dead Man, and they've got a release date window, which is fall 2025, and I'm excited because I really like those movies.
Yeah, I definitely remember that one.
That's the one where
Sorry.
It's the one where it's Daniel Craig and he's a detective.
Right. Okay, I actually do remember that one. Okay, good. I was struggling at first. I was like, Knives Out. Fuck. I watched so many movies. Which one is that? Uh, but no, yeah, I remember liking those. So yeah, that's exciting. When's that coming out? You said 2025,
Yeah,
27, 26?
2025.
2025. June, July, August,
Fall.
fall. That's cool. So we'll have to find a reason to watch the third one. Is
Yeah.
that coming to theaters this time?
I don't. I mean, probably like the last one will go to Netflix because the last one was a Netflix exclusive, which is pretty cool because we have Netflix.
Yeah, and we probably will still at that point.
We probably
Unless
will.
unless the prices continue to go up and I can no longer afford these things because they constantly do.
They constantly do.
Between Disney and I'm sorry, small rant. Between Disney and Netflix, I swear to God, they're bleeding me dry. Sorry, go
They're
on.
tapping you from both ends.
Yeah, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. Say no more.
So yes, Sebastian Stan. Back to one thing. When we're talking about Oscar nominations, when we talked about Best Animated Feature, we completely forgot Wallace and Gromit. I completely forgot to bring up the fact that the new Wallace and Gromit movie got nominated for an Oscar, and that is pretty cool.
Is that out?
Yeah. Apparently, it's really good. I've heard it's
When
really
that come
good.
out?
Recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to maybe find a reason to talk about
go watch
yeah,
that.
to watch Aardman movies, do another animated movies week or something. I don't know. But yeah, that was really cool. And the other thing was that Sebastian Stan, Hawkeye from the Bucky from the Marvel movies. He's in a Donald Trump biopic movie in which apparently he's really good, but there's apparently a really gnarly unpleasant thing that he does to his wife, not YouTube friendly. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just it doesn't.
And he's Donald Trump.
He's Donald Trump. Yeah, he does. Apparently, the movie does not pay him in a sympathetic or kind light, like at all.
That would explain why he's not happy with it.
He does not like it. He is famously. I don't know if he's tried to sue it or has sued for defamation. But I kind of really want Sebastian Stan to win this because, like, I kind of want to see Donald Trump be stuck between because there's no way he's like, I'm in the best movie ever made. The greatest movie. Like, there's no way he doesn't brag about, like, having a movie about him win an Oscar, but also it makes him look like an absolute monster, so he can't at the same time. Like, I just want to know if his brain short circuits on how he spins this. I think it'd be really funny.
That would be funny.
Uh,
Which is good, because in these dark times, we need humor.
We need a laugh. So, John, I don't know if you know that there's a Michael Jackson biopic. I didn't read the details about this, but apparently they've had to, like, completely reshoot the last, like, third of it, half of it or whatever, because there was a lawsuit involving one of the victims, so they've had to completely change it. And so the new story I have here is it might get split into two movies. And I just remember saying years ago when they announced this movie, not to make it. Don't make this movie. It won't make anyone happy. No one will win. Everyone will be miserable. And Jordan, I was right. I was very right.
Yeah, it sure sounds like you were right. So at what point did they talk about Neverland and the things that happened there?
I'm guessing there's a point at the end where they must, because the victim sued, so they must at a point address it.
I remember when that was going on, the whole Neverland and him scandal and the courts, and like I think I was still in high school at that point, and I just remember it being like this big deal,
right?
Obviously for obvious reasons. Like I just remember it being like I guarantee if I went and I looked through my old yearbooks, I'd probably in the back there was always this year in the news, and I'm sure I would find something about it in there.
Mugshot, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. I'm just like, yeah, I get it. He's a prominent pop culture figure. I understand why you want to talk about him, but yeah, I'm just like, there's just no way that you do it in a way that doesn't upset somebody.
No, yeah, you either do it sycophantly and make him out to be like the perfect angel who did nothing wrong and piss off the people that he did something wrong against, or you do it 100% accurately and say exactly what you think of him and what you think he might have done, and then you piss off the people that are sycophants and think that he could do no wrong.
Right.
There is no winning. There's no winning.
You make no one happy. Also, speaking of biopics, apparently there was a NSYNC biopic in the works that still could happen, but I guess it was in development. It's not. It's in that messy in-between state.
I missed that. A biopic of who?
NSYNC.
Oh, the band.
Yeah. Apparently it was in development. It could be revived. And I'm like, that's interesting because I learned about their story, and like their story is kind of insane. Like how it basically started with Justin Timberlake. The band was like formed around him. I believe, I'm not sure if it was them or the Backstreet Boys. I'm pretty sure it was them. They talked about at one point like this like boy band boot camp, which was just like this warehouse that they went to where they like trained endlessly. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds interesting and dramatic enough for a movie. I'd watch that.
I mean, I never really questioned. I've never really thought about how they formed or what went into that or anything. Like, there's a lot of boy bands that existed, and I don't know them all.
Right? They just exist. They existed.
They were just a thing that other people listened to them and were aware of them. But like, did we listen to NSYNC? I don't remember if we did.
No, yeah, a little. I mean, the big ones like Bye 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 and that. But no, we were always. I mean,
wasn't Bye 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 Backstreet Boys?
Nope, that is very much NSYNC.
See, that's my thing. They're all interchangeable to me. They are all the same boy band.
We think we really quite like their Black. It was the Black and Blue album. There's quite a number of songs. That was the Backstreet Boys.
Again, wasn't? And I was gonna say that was the Backstreet Boys, wasn't it?
We quite like that.
Like album. I remember liking The Call.
Yeah, that's Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we were really into NSYNC.
No, no. We were way more Backstreet Boys, but we did like some of their stuff. What are we doing?
I don't know. You brought up NSYNC.
What are we doing?
Talking about a movie that a biopic about NSYNC. That's the tangent. Let's go back to the thread.
Let's go back to the thread. Back on topic. But yeah. I would watch that. Like they're like, as long as you do it like you don't do it. Yeah, you don't sugarcoat it or like make them look better than they were, and you give it some edge. I would watch that.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. If it came to a streaming service, probably eventually. Out of sheer morbid curiosity.
Just out of sheer interest. So Jordan,
I mean, I'd rather see one about the Backstreet Boys. As previously discussed, they were my band of choice.
Jordan, you'll be surprised to find out the Jonas Brothers are doing
kill each other.
No.
Whoa, we went in very different directions there.
No.
You went left. I went right.
No.
Let's swerve back left. What were you saying?
They're apparently making a Disney Plus movie called a Jonas Brothers Christmas movie, which honestly kind of surprises me that they're working with Disney again.
Why? Did they have a fallout?
It's just they made such a very strong attempt to like distance themselves from their Disney past. For them to go back to Disney is just, I know, it feels like an odd choice, but also I think they're funny, so I'm not against it.
I remember liking the Jonas Brothers show.
Yeah, I always thought they were funny.
I thought they were funny. They had good comedic timing.
Yeah. So I'm not against this, and I will likely watch it when it goes to Disney Plus. That was a surprise, a genuine surprise. Jordan, again, I've got so many news stories this week. We're just running through them. Terrifier 4, the director of Terrifier. Jordan, do you not? Come on, you can't tell me that you're not at least a little interested in like a couple years time. You know, I think it's coming out 2026. I think they said.
I can tell you that I'm not really that interested. I really.
You're not at least the slightest bit curious about how it all ends.
Quite honestly, my curiosity would be sated by reading a Wikipedia article about the movie where I find out how the plot ends without having to actually see it.
Jordan, we both know we're watching it for the content.
That's not what you asked me. You asked me if I wasn't the remote bit interested.
I mean,
no.
I'm really not.
My curiosity would be sated by a Wikipedia
So
or you telling me.
I mean, I'm just saying, you are a little bit interested in finding out the satisfying conclusion. And he promises, Jordan, to tell you what Art the Clown's origin story is, finally.
Oh, good, because I was really asking that.
I mean, weren't you?
No.
Weren't you?
No.
Won't you?
No.
Couldn't you?
No.
You could.
No.
I mean, you could think about it.
No.
We'll talk about it.
You'll force me.
I'll have your people call my people.
You are my people.
And you're right. I'm looking at the future. Your people are saying you're doing it.
Maybe I'll have to have a discussion and find some new people.
You won't find new people.
No, it's pretty short notice.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's only like 2 or 3 years in the future. It's really short notice.
It's really short notice.
Just don't have time to find someone. It's way too. I just don't. I really don't know what I'm gonna do.
So okay. Finally.
I guess I'm stuck with my people.
Well, I did you see? Okay, I'm gonna bring it up. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see that clip from Superman? There's the TV commercial, the TV spot that leaked that showed Superman flying.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it was going around the internet, and everyone was like, it looks like CGI, it looks like AI or whatever, and it looks a lot like, remember in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when they had like that weird close-up, that weird fisheye close-up of Adam Warlock flying?
Vaguely.
It looks like that.
Okay.
It looks all right.
So cheap.
No, I mean, it looks like a weird fisheye close-up. I thought it looked all right. The internet didn't. If you hadn't seen it, it's hard to talk about. I was going to share it with you. I'm like, maybe he's seen it. It's fine. Moving on.
Okay. I'm gonna need you to calm down. You're getting very aggressive about the Superman fisheye flying scene.
Getting real hostile lately.
Hostile.
So Jordan.
Apparently,
the release window for Stranger Things season 5. Jordan, I bet you didn't know. They're still
making that.
They're still making that show.
What was that like? That was like 6 years, 7 years ago now.
3 years ago. I did the math this morning. 3 years it's taken them to make the show. And I'm just like, does anybody still... Why? I know, okay, I'm going to ask this question, and it's really more of a rhetorical question because I know that there are, but do people search within your soul and ask yourself, do you really care about Stranger Things Season 5? Do you?
Well, here's what I'll say. I guarantee you Millie Bobby Brown doesn't.
No, she doesn't care. Man, I'm kind of just looking forward to the promotional campaign where she has to feign interest in this. Like, I'm so...
To be fair, none of them, like, they all have moved on. They're done with it, man. It's the equivalent. It's this generation's equivalent of Harry Potter, where by the end of it, they were kind of done,
They're done. And it's incredibly they're still doing this, even though like every show that has done this has taken a critical shitting. But they're doing a split season. It's 2 parts in October and November, which tells me it's going to be the same thing. Where like it's going to be like 4 episodes in the first half, 2 episodes in the second half, and the series finale will be like 3 hours long.
That is particularly egregious with this. Like if like you were trying to do a fast turnaround and put it out right away and like you're rushing to get it done and that's why you have to split it, that's one thing. But you've already taken 16 years. Like, what's an extra year to get it all out at once?
I've seen so many memes where it's like it took them 10 years to bet out 5 seasons of television. It's already taken 10 years.
It's already taken like 20 years. Like what's another... Like, come on.
32-year-old Finn Wolfhard. I'm kidding. But he said that it's going to be a really emotional ending. And I'm just like, but you guys have taken so long to make this. Like, you've let the wind go completely out of your sails. Like, shows have taken so much criticism for taking so long. Like, no one's tolerant of this anymore. Like, but then at the same time, people will pretend to care when the show comes out. Like, I guarantee you, they'll be, oh, it's so good. And I'll say the same thing I said about every season. It's all right, but the pacing is bad. Pacing is bad in every single season. And it's forgettable. Like, I don't even remember how the last season ended. I don't even remember.
I would have to go back and watch it all again.
Right? And even then, I'd forget about it the next day.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when
Yeah.
we went to watch. I can't remember if it was the second or the third season, and we were watching it, and there was this blonde lady. I think it was the third. Whatever season had the guy who was in Power Rangers in it. But I remember there's this blonde lady, and me and you were like, "Who is she? Who is this woman? Like, who is she?" And then it was like she was like Mike's mom, and we're like, "Oh my god, I completely forgot who this woman was."
Yeah. Yeah.
Forgettable. That was the point.
Yeah.
Forgettable. Forgettable. It's forgettable. Anyway.
I've forgotten what we were talking about already.
I've already forgotten. Jordan, that's the news. Jordan, hit the news theme. It's not. I don't know what that was, but I dig it. Keep bringing that energy.
All right.
All right.
All right, I will.
Welcome to
But because I want to, not because you've told me to.
All right, I respect that. You want your independence. I understand that. I respect
Yeah.
it. Today's show is brought to you by. You know what, Joe? Today's show is brought to you by two things. It's brought to you by the newly founded, newly created, newly formed Spur of the Moment Patreon. It's not really much right now, but if you choose to, if you'd love to, if you want to help us out a little bit, help put some new lights on, some bells, some whistles, help the show, or you can just donate $2.
You could help pay for our heat so we're not freezing.
For the low cost of $2 a month, if you want, you can help us out. It'd be cool of you. It's for the moment Patreon. It's kind of bland. It's kind of bare right now. But the more of you spend money, we will improve it and put more effort into it. If money is spent.
There's a few tiers and a few things, but we'll put more effort into it when we see results.
Exactly.
So get to it. Go give us money, and then that will be the budget that we need to add some duct tape to hold up a couple additional signs over there.
Right? Like I could have a whole armrest that doesn't fall down. It could happen.
I mean,
I could get a slightly better chair. You could find a slightly better chair.
Who knows? Who knows what? I mean, you just got to go check it out, and I mean, even if right now you can go and like follow for free.
It's true.
Even that would be a nice gesture.
That would be if all 104 of you go and follow there for free. That would be pretty rad.
It'd be a nice gesture. Is all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. And also, I'm not sure if I don't know if it's in the description. Let me just before I commit to this, I'm stalling. Is it in the description?
Stalling. Be doo dee doo doo.
It is, yes. This episode is also sponsored and brought to you by Audible. Jordan, we talked about last week for a little bit how much we love audiobooks. We love audiobooks.
I mean, I would say I'm a fan of audiobooks considering I have like 150 something in my library. All on Audible, where you can have plenty of titles, which even when you're not subscribed anymore, you still get to hold on to those and listen to them, and you can download them. So like when you're not on Wi-Fi, you can listen to things without eating up all your data. The audio quality is fantastic. There's a lot of talented authors and audiobook readers on there.
It's only like $14 a month, and if you sign up right now, you get a free credit. And yes, you can listen to like great titles. Like currently, I'm listening to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and yeah, man, it's just solid quality. I can pause it, I can unpause it. It's just like the player itself. It's just a good quality, and it's not overly priced. And if you use our link, you theoretically help us get paid. And don't you want that? Don't you want to help us help you help us get
help us, you help us help you, us help you, help us make bank?
Maybe get paid? That would be nice.
Make bank?
We're shameless. We're shameless.
Yeah,
we want to get you cool stuff like Audible and the Spur of the Moment podcast Patreon. Go sign up for both after this.
Do it.
Or do it. Or open up a separate tab. Go do those things, and then listen to us.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Today's
On with the show?
episode. On with the show. Today's episode is what is today? What is today's episode, Jordan? What is it? Today. Nobody heard that, Jordan. You peeked your mic. Nobody heard it. It's kung fu. It's martial arts movies. It's the art of kung fu and awesome action movies and badass action movies, and one bad movie. Jordan. It's Jackie Chan. It's Jet Li. It's Michelle. It's like I said earlier. It's the stuff I said earlier. Jordan. Let's start off with you. What is your first rapid fire?
Well, my first rapid fire is a Jackie Chan movie. It's an American spy action comedy film. It's The Spy Next Door.
You think he's a nice normal guy, and he's not a Jackie Chan, but then it turns out he is. He's
dating a woman who has 3 kids, and they think that he sells pens and is boring and uninteresting. But surprise, surprise, he's a secret agent, man.
And he can work Jackie Chan. What year did that come out?
2010.
Interesting. So he's some man in his 50s, and he's still doing Jackie Chan stuff, right?
Pretty This has a fair number of convincing stunts.
Because just a brief flash forward to my first one. He was 47 when he made mine, and I think that one came out in the 2000s. So I'm just like, man, if he's in his 50s, Jackie Chan is this is gonna end up turning into me loving Jackie Chan, but he is kind of remarkable. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, in this movie, he plays Bob Ho. He's an operative of the CIA. He's an undercover agent on loan from the Chinese intelligence. He wants to retire. He put a Russian terrorist behind bars. He wants to marry his girlfriend Jillian, and then and the 3 kids are from previous relationships. Obviously the Russian gangsters come back, find out where he is. There's a whole thing. It's a pretty classic Jackie Chan movie. It's fun. It's simple. It's basic. I like it. It's got some fun Jackie Chan action in there.
Some Jackie Chaction, if you will.
And it has Billy Ray Cyrus as Bob's partner.
Really?
Yep.
I completely forgot he was in that movie, and I've seen that movie. How did I forget he was in that movie?
Yeah, he's his partner. Huh. Don't break his heart. His achy breaky heart.
His achy breaky heart.
And it's funny. It's 2010 too, so I'm pretty sure that was peak Hannah Montana. So he just looks like he does in Hannah Montana. It's very funny.
That's funny.
I like this movie. It's cute.
That's funny. Okay, so Jordan, I entered this week with one thought, one idea, and that was I've never seen a bad Jackie Chan movie. Or rather, I've never seen a Jackie Chan movie I didn't like at least a little bit, or that I actively didn't like. Until yesterday, when I watched The Medallion. Jordan, this movie is a particular kind of bad. It's a kind of bad that's really hard to describe. It's the kind of, and before we get on to the gushing I'm going to do about all these movies which I liked, we're going to talk about the one movie which I actively didn't. Because this movie it doesn't make any sense. So, okay, The Medallion, for those of you who don't know, the Jackie Chan movie.
I don't know.
He is a Hong Kong detective working with Interpol looking for a gangster evil bad guy who wants to get a magic boy who, using a magic medallion, can once every 1,000 years bring people back from the dead. And if they have one half of the medallion, they're super strong and they have superpowers, but they can still die. And the medallion can both give life and take life away. And the movie is basically just about Jackie Chan saving this boy and stopping the bad guy.
Okay, so what makes it so bad?
Okay, first of all,
Because Because it sounds like a pretty standard Jackie Chan movie.
Well, first of all, the rules like are unbelievably convoluted. Like how it works is unclear. Like they're like, oh, he's invincible. So like at a point he eventually gets superpowers. Also, the pacing is really bad. So the movie is supposed to be about him getting superpowers, but he doesn't get superpowers till like almost 30 minutes into it. And again, the superpowers rules are confusing. Like there's a bit where like one of the guys is married to this like Asian woman, Chinese woman, and like they say that he's keeping the fact that he's an Interpol agent secret from her, but then at one point the bad guys show up and she seems to also be a secret agent. Like she's hyper like competent with a gun, but like it's not made clear as to whether or not why she is that, like why she's super like why she also looks like a secret agent. And like I messaged it to you, but at the beginning of the movie Jackie Chan has a mullet. Like he's got a completely different hairstyle. And then the opening scene happens, and they lose the boy, and then it cuts to 2 weeks later, and he now has a completely different haircut. But the characters talk. It goes 2 weeks later, but the characters talk as though it's been like weeks or months or like years. Like they're speaking to each other as if it's been like a long time. But like
right.
2 weeks is not that long.
Not that long, no.
Not the way these characters are acting. It's so he's like at one point he's like, oh, you quit, and I had to walk away, and he was like, it's like you guys saw each other like 2 weeks ago. Like what is this? Or he's like, we used to be partners, but nothing. So it almost seems like in editing they cut out a subplot or like the first 15 minutes where there was like establishing bits with these characters together. Also, like the rules of how it works don't make any sense, and like it starts off with he's already doing Jackie Chan shit. Like I thought it was a thing of like he was a normal guy and then the medallion gave him the power to do Jackie Chan shit. But no, he can already do Jackie Chan shit. So like when him getting superpowers doesn't really make him any more interesting, or it just makes him kind of invincible, which cuts into the drama of like there's no drama. And the movie ultimately ends with both him and the love interest wind up with superpowers, and then they just run off into the sunset and they still have superpowers. It's really dumb.
I mean,
the editing,
okay.
The editing makes them is like incoherent. It's so bizarre. Like the Jackie Chan stuff doesn't even look that good. He barely fights anybody, and this is a problem that's going to come up again later. But in these movies, it hits a point where when the fights, Jackie Chan almost looks too good that it becomes unbelievable that he would lose to anyone. If that makes sense.
He's invincible, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I'll explain it better when we get to Enter the Dragon. But yeah, it's really bad. I was like, this is not good. The best part of the movie is the bloopers and the ending credits that happen at the end of every Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah, where you get to see his failed stunts.
Yeah, like there's a really funny running gag in there where she slaps him in the face and feels bad about it. And he's like, "Oh, why'd you stop? Why'd you stop? Now I got slapped for nothing, and we're gonna have to do it again." and then there's another blooper later on in the blooper reel where she does it again, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "Oh, you did it again! Oh my god!" And he's like, he seems like genuinely getting frustrated. It's so funny. It was really funny. Yeah, otherwise not very good movie, and it's funny because when I was reading about this, I was gonna pick the tuxedo, but I was like, oh, this feels like this will have a more martial arts bend to it. It didn't. But I was like, oh, I was gonna watch the tuxedo, and every review I read for this was like, it's better than the tuxedo, and I was like, I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that's possible. This was really bad. This was not good. That's it. That's the medallion. Bad movie.
Okay, I understand. So, two of mine I'm gonna do as one. So I'm gonna because it's just that they're sequels.
I understand.
So I'm going to talk about Shanghai Noon / Shanghai Night. And Owen Wilson, Jackie Chan,
Wow.
Cowboy, Imperial Guard.
They're just cowboying about. They're out there
You know,
cowboying.
water, oil. Like they're two very different things. Is really what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
And these movies are fun. We'll start with Shanghai Noon, where Jackie Chan is an Imperial Guard who's trying to stop a crime, and he ends up teaming with Western outlaw Owen Wilson. And it's a romp, Justin. It's just a romp.
It's just a romp.
It's a buddy cop movie. It's got Lucy Liu in there too.
For fair, I think is that the one that has. Is that one of the bloopers for one of those movies where you're so full of shit? Your eyes are brown.
I mean, I believe that's a thing that he just says in the second one.
Is it? I love that line. It's funny.
Yeah, when he's talking to his sister. But yeah, it's a buddy film where, you know, Chinese Imperial Guard and American Western Outlaw team up. Now, my one thing with this, and I don't know if it's just Disney Plus or if it's the movie itself that does this, but there's sections like, so in the beginning when you see Jackie Chan as the Imperial Guard, and there's rows and rows of Imperial Guards, and there's the one Imperial Guard dude up front who's reading from a scroll, and he's talking in Chinese, and I feel like there should be subtitles there, like telling us what he's saying, right?
Oh yeah, I've heard that happen before.
This is where it's like, I don't know if this is Disney Plus that does this, or if the movie doesn't have subtitles there, because later on there's sections, like in the second one, there's sections where they're talking in Chinese and there are subtitles.
And then maybe it's just a case if you're just not meant to know what they're saying.
That's why I don't know. I can't be bothered to look it up and try and see if the actual, like on YouTube and stuff, if there's scenes where there are subtitles. Yeah. But it didn't necessarily detract anything, but it would have been nice to know what they were saying, because there's enough sections where they do that. But that's where I say then there's other scenes in that movie where, like, for example, there's a part where he's at a Native American camp and he ends up getting married to his Native American girl, and there's sections where they're talking in their Native American language, and it does have subtitles.
Huh.
So that's where I couldn't tell what the intent was. Yeah, he's Chan Wayne, which is a homophone for John Wayne, which I was like, the first time I heard it, I was like, that's clever. I like that.
I get that reference.
I haven't seen a John Wayne movie, but I get the reference.
I get that reference.
But and then we move to the second one, where it's been at least a couple years in terms of time in the movie, and basically Lord Nelson Rathbone is trying to steal an Imperial Seal of China while this other guy is doing this other thing. Nelson Rathbone is played by he's in Game of Thrones. And he's the squirrely one who runs the brothels.
I don't know.
The one who really was into Lady Stark before she died. Anyways, and he saves Sansa. Anyways, I immediately recognized him as a younger version of that, and I was like, hey, it's weird. It's weird when you see a person that you know from something else in an earlier thing that they were in.
Right.
Right. Yeah, they go on an adventure. Roy falls in love with Jackie Chan's sister. And then one of the characters in the movie, who is a writer, or decides to become a writer, creates the character Sherlock Holmes based on the disguise Roy wore at the gala. So in this universe, Sherlock Holmes, the character, is based off Roy, off Owen Wilson's character.
Nice, that's nice.
And so there was apparently at one point a planned third one, which back in 2015, which, hold on, it says what it was going to be. Go said the third film will be set in China because Chan wants to showcase China in the way that the first film showcased the Old West. Go added that Chan and Wilson also have a hand in the creative process. Um, in 2024, though, Go later revealed that the sequel will most likely never happen, as Chan seemed to lose interest in producing it. He further revealed that the plot would have picked up from where the last film left off, with Chon Wang now a Hollywood stuntman. He would receive news that Roy O'Bannon was in Mexico with revolutionaries and would team back up with him.
I mean, that sounds fun. I'd watch that.
Sadly, it appears that it will never be.
Is that it?
That's all.
That's it. That's all.
That's Shanghai Nights and Shanghai Noon.
So this next one. Now, when I said that the last one was the only bad one, I kind of lied. This one's also bad, but it's bad in a different way. It's bad in like almost an intentional way. It's a movie called Kung Pao, and there's more to the title. I don't remember what it is. It's unimportant. And what this movie is basically this particular filmmaker took this old like 1970s era Hong Kong action movie, and he basically spliced himself into it and changed the plot of it, moved the scenes around, and dubbed over it. And it's basically like a parody of like when you make fun of like old kung fu movies and you do the oh, we'll fight you now. You do that.
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah,
basically that. Look, it's not very funny. Like, almost all of the jokes are just them making noises or, like, saying names or words over and over again. Like, in, like, that way that's, like, not really a joke. Where they're, like, feeling. Like that. We're like, okay, it's not really a joke. There's, like, I won't say, like, it's not unfunny. Like, there were moments where I laughed, but, like, overall, like, there's some puns that made me laugh. But, like, the humor just doesn't really work. I will say that it is clever how they have, like, managed to shuffle this movie around to make it look like a totally different movie. I just didn't think it was very funny. And the fighting doesn't look very good. Like, it's the kind of movie where the bad guy has, like, a high-pitched falsetto voice, and, like, that's the joke. And like,
interesting.
The opening bit is he fights a baby. It's really dumb. There's one funny bit.
That sounds really dumb.
There's one funny bit where he fights a CGI cow that looks really bad. That was funny, but like I say, other than that, I just didn't think it was very funny. But it's not like offensively bad to me like the Medallion was. That was just like Jackie Chan. I watched Drunken Master at the beginning of the week. Spoiler alert. You can do better than this. What are you doing? What are you doing with this slop? Whereas this is exactly what it like says it's gonna be. It doesn't promise it's gonna be anything deeper or more meaningful than just kind of being a wet, sloppy fart noise. And it's fine with being a wet, sloppy fart noise.
That's funny.
That's fine. You can have movies that are just fine.
That are just farts in the wind.
That are just sloppy fart noises. Yeah. Anyway,
in the wind.
That's Kung Pao. I don't remember the rest of the title.
So, okay. My next one. I'm going to say it flat out. Of the ones that I watched, it's kind of the most forgettable for me. Definitely one of the most forgettable ones for me. That being said, the Wikipedia article that I'm reading about it is actually far more interesting than the movie itself that I watched.
That happens sometimes.
So, when I looked it up and like on our TVs and stuff, it calls it Jackie Chan is the prisoner, and it has Jackie Chan's face like right on it, and it markets itself as a Jackie Chan film. But the actual name of the movie and like what it was released as is Island of Fire. Now there's 3 versions of this movie. There's the Hong Kong / because I assume the United States version is just the Hong Kong one but dubbed. There's the Hong Kong version, which is 96 minutes, and there's the Taiwan version, which is 125 minutes.
Sorry, say that again. Say that again.
There's the United States / Hong Kong version, which again, I assume the United States version is just the Hong Kong version but dubbed, because it was a dubbed film.
Right.
The one that I saw, but that one's 96 minutes.
Okay.
And then there's the Taiwan version, which is 125 minutes.
Oh wow, that's almost like 30 minutes longer.
Yeah. And reading about it, it has like a bunch of hold on, I'll go back down to that section. Versions. 2 different versions, 96 Hong Kong version, 125 Taiwan version, which focuses more on character development and plot detail. Huh. But the one that I got, which was the American version, the one which markets it as Jackie Chan film, it has him on the cover as though he's a lead actor, and he only appears in a supporting role.
Really?
And I'm gonna butcher the name here, Tony Leung Ka Fai, as the central character.
Yeah, we're gonna butcher a bunch of Chinese pronunciations this week. We're sorry. We're sorry.
But yeah, it really wanted to. It really wanted to. We're sorry. It really wanted to. It really wanted to lean on Jackie Chan to sell it to American audiences.
Yeah, fair enough. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, because this movie is otherwise kind of just forgettable and not very good. Like the plot is basically this undercover cop is going into this prison to break up some sort of like gang or something. I kind of don't really remember. And then you find out the warden is in on it all, and he gets sent to jail by the end of it. And there's like something to do with assassins, and I just know that like every time that I would get distracted, which is bad when it's a movie like this because you're really can't afford to get distracted. But I'd get distracted, and then I'd look up, and it was the same fat prisoner again in another situation. Like 2 times they're out on the side of the road and like doing some sort of labor because they're in prison, and I definitely noticed the fact that Jackie Chan is not the star in this, because I found myself thinking as I was watching this, Jackie Chan's on the cover, and yet I really only can remember him distinctly being in like 1 scene.
I mean, it was funny you say that because one of mine, it's kind of like that too, where it's like Jackie Chan was on the poster, but he's like not the main character.
Like he's in like a handful of scenes.
Right?
That's all I really have to say about Island of Fire /
Is the Kung Fu good?
Jackie Chan is the prisoner. It's not the best that I've seen.
Does Jackie Chan do, or is it like Jackie Chan's in his serious era now and he's not doing Kung Fu as much?
No, Jackie Chan does some Kung Fu in at least 1 scene.
He's still Jackie Channing about?
Yeah.
Because like...
I mean, this came out in 1990. This was pretty peak Jackie Channing.
The Kung Fu wasn't very good in the... He wasn't peak Jackie Channing. It wasn't Jackie... I was like, you could do better Jackie Channing in The Medallion, and Kung Pao, it was just... It was okay.
I will say some of the best Kung Fu that I saw came from probably the most surprising of sources, I will say.
All right, we'll get there. My next one is it's a movie called my Kung Fu movies, my martial arts movies, kind of for me come in like 2-3 flavors of Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Michelle Yeoh, and so I wanted to pick one of my favorite Jet Li movies, which is a movie called, and I was gonna do the one which Jordan is, spoiler alert, gonna end up doing today for last week, and I cut it. My other favorite Jet Li movie, other than The Expendables, which is Unleashed.
I like the first Expendables.
The first
only
one's
the first
all right.
one.
Only the first
we don't
one.
talk about the rest of them.
The rest of them are not good. I've not seen all of them. Like after the third one, I was like, no, thank you, Jordan. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
So my other favorite.
No, thank. No, thank.
No, thank you.
No, thank.
No, thank
No, thank you.
No, thank
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
My other favorite Jet Li movie is a movie called Unleashed, also starring Bob Hoskins, who I don't know if you know by name, but he is Eddie Valiant in.
I mean, yeah, he was also in that movie last time or one of the last times that I mentioned that you were like, "Oh my God, it is him!" Which I know.
Hook. He was in Hook.
Yeah, Hook.
He's also Mario in the Mario movie. But he plays a gangster who has raised Jet Li from a child to basically be this like merciless kung fu killing master who wears a collar, and then when he takes his collar off, he becomes activated and he becomes a like murderous psychopath, and he'll murder anyone that Bob Hoskins tells you to. But it's the kind of movie that like he got him when he was like 7 or 8, so like enough that he like already has like he doesn't like see him as like a parental figure, and doesn't really explain like how he imbued him with all of these like unbelievably like he's super strong, super fast, he hits hard, he's got wicked like martial arts skills, and you're just like, wait, Bob Hoskins, and this is like towards the end of his life, Bob Hoskins is capable of teaching him how to do this stuff, and the movie never explains it. The movie's more about him like he gets taken in by Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman's like stepdaughter who like basically like reintegrate him into society essentially and make him into like a regular person and like help him learn about his past. And like the fights are good. Like Jet Li always looks good Jet Li's also gonna be in another one we talk about later today. But he much like Jackie Chan always looks good in a fight. Like his fight sequences are like just look good. So like it's a fun movie, but the logic of it kind of falls apart. It's one of those like don't think about it. I also believe it's directed by the guy who did Taken. So the action sequences are real shaky, and Jet Li elevates them. This movie only looks good because of Jet Li. It's kind of one of those movies. The one is similar. We'll get there. But where they like this movie, if it were not for Jet Li, would look horrible. Like I guarantee you.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it. That's
good choreography, especially fight choreography, will help elevate a lot.
Right. And yeah, Jet Li just always looks good. Like he's like, to me, he's like a more brutal like to me, I call it the Jackie Chan scale of kung fu brutality, where he's like somewhere in the middle. Like he's not quite Bruce Lee, but he's not quite Jackie Chan soft.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Unleashed. Jordan, what's your next one?
My last one is because I combined two of mine. My last one is Fists of Fury, which is Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
And takes place. Go.
I was gonna say I saw you watching it, and it's dope.
Oh yeah, it's
it is rad as hell.
It takes place in 1908. It's deals with a lot of the Chinese, Japanese war, colonialism shit.
Yeah.
And that whole sticky business. And I mean, what can you say? But the fight sequences are tight, especially considering when it came out.
Yeah, and it's a surprise. The little bit of it I saw, it's brutal because Bruce Lee is brutal. Bruce Lee is unforgiving. Bruce
Lee was trained by the Yip Man.
Right.
if you have seen that movie, which we will be talking about later, yeah, some of the fight scenes in that are brutal.
Right?
Anyway,
And it
um,
just looks good.
it looks good, and it looks like the thing for me is it looks real. Like it looks,
Right?
I mean, as real as a movie ever looks. It looks like he's actually kicking the shit out of these
Yeah, he
people.
was. Man, we'll get there because I'm going to be talking about Enter the Dragon later. But yeah, he just is so fast, so fluid. Be water.
Um, and so yeah, an interesting thing is, and I didn't know this until after, uh, the bad guy, or at least I believe he's the bad guy in the movie, one of the bad guys, Hiroshi Suzuki has Jackie Chan as a stunt double.
Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's interesting that Jackie
Uh,
Chan and Bruce Lee seem to have worked together a lot.
and he had a special appearance. Jackie Chan did as a Jingwu student, so one of the students in the background.
Huh, interesting.
Which again, I didn't notice. So he must have looked real young at this point.
So that good
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, that's it.
How's the Kung Fu good?
Kung Fu very good. Kung Fu very strong. Also, the dubbing was pretty decent.
Yeah, fair, fair.
Like there's points where like it almost looked like the lips actually matched
I
up.
find it just makes cadence sound weird. Where you're like, oh, that's not how conversation flows because they're trying to match lip flaps. But yeah, I don't always hate it. It's not my ideal. I prefer to watch it in its original language. But it's
Oh, interesting. This one had 3 sequels, which one starred Jackie Chan.
Oh, really interesting.
Yeah, titled New
Very,
Fist of Fury.
very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
New Fist of Fury 2, and Fist of Fury 3. And the South Korean spin-off, Last Fist of Fury.
All right.
So we might have to come back and do Kung Fu again so that I can watch some of those.
I mean, yeah, that was very much a thing I learned this week where I was like, oh man, I want to do more Kung Fu movies. Like, there's so many. There's so many in Jackie Chan's filmography I didn't even get to touch from his Hong Kong movie era that I want to go to because I felt like this was getting Jackie Chan heavy, and I didn't. Want
I know, me too.
And between the two of us, I didn't want this to turn into a Jackie Chan fest. So okay, because you smashed 2 together, my last 2 are going to wind up getting smashed together, which is fine because this is going to kind of turn into its own YouTube video anyway. So, and for those of you who are regular listeners to this podcast and who know me personally, you may know that I'm a big fan of a franchise known as Dragon Ball. And for those of you who don't know about Dragon Ball is loosely based on a Chinese proverb fable novel called Journey to the West. And Goku in particular is a variation or is a parody, I guess, of Sun Wukong, who in Japanese is known as Son Goku or the Monkey King. It's based on the Monkey King. It's an homage, and it is also based on the movie The Drunken Master. So I will be talking about both of those movies. Firstly, let us begin with Journey to the West. And Jordan, I want to ask you, because I have to tell you about the Monkey King, because the Monkey King is absurd. Like, a thing I kind of discovered this week, like, the Monkey King in terms of, like China, is kind of like, like the Greek gods?
Yeah.
He's one of those. And, like, there's just certain things, like, in regards to mythology that, I don't know how to quite put this, I'm hoping this makes sense, wasn't meant to be, like, visualized in, like, a television movie kind of way. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Where it's like, this is not meant to be visual. This is more meant to be something you think about, not something you see. And so when you see when you see it like literally play out on screen, it doesn't. Okay, so I want to begin this by we're going to start with Journey to the West. Jordan, what do you know about Journey of the West? Because I think this is going to be more fun.
I mean, I know that it's like a Monkey King. I know that he does have like a power pole. I know he has an equivalent to the cloud that Goku rides around on. Um, and I that's he goes on journeys.
So, okay. So, the actual story of Journey to the West. So, I watched kind of two things related to Journey to the West. I watched, there's an old 1990s cartoon that used to air on, in Canada, Teletoon, that was dubbed by a Canadian dubbing company.
I
That
mean, yeah, we
is.
know it's called Dragon Ball.
No, this is literally called Journey to the West. It's got voices you recognize from Canadian stuff. It's very funny. It's not very good. It's very cheap. It's way worse than I remember. I was like, I remember this being kind of good, and them giving him kind of a Goku feel, and it's not. It just kind of ends up playing out like weird, stilted preschool level um preschool level ideas of morality, and every episode is split into two 11-minute shorts, kind of like Recess, and they all kind of take the structure of Monkey was walking along one day, and then he happens to run into this creature, and then they have a conflict, and then Monkey wins in the end, and then he learns a lesson. And so there's one the first episode, it's like Monkey runs into this dragon who he needs to convince, and they've got the horse, and the horses run off, and he can't find the horses. So then Monkey confronts the dragon, but then the dragon doesn't want, or dragon and Monkey have a fight, and then the goddess turns the dragon into a horse. So now the horse that Monkey rides on is now a dragon as well. And so it's
okay. This sounds convoluted.
It is, yeah, and it's in a way that you could see this being told in a mythology. You know what I mean? Like it's like a Greek mythology kind of story. Yeah, that's what a lot of these episodes are like, where it's like, oh, these are clearly very old stories that are more meant to be metaphorical.
Not even necessarily old stories. It sounds more like a lot of them are old proverbs, which have been turned into stories.
Yeah. And so what's interesting was Journey to the West. So
you know, like a classic one cannot chase the monkey when they are chasing the weasel instead,
right?
Or something like that, which they've taken and turned into a story.
Right, exactly. And so Journey to the West is basically, that first section of Dragon Ball where Bulma, they eventually run into Oolong and they're looking for the Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
The Journey to the West is there's a monk who is traveling to India to find 7 or some odd scroll. And once again, I'm going to butcher a lot of Chinese culture, and I'm going to really do this kind of broadly just because I'm bad with names, and I'm going to mess up a lot of details. You can correct me in comments or in the chat if you want to at any point, and Jordan will yell out fact checking. But
come for him.
There's a monk who he's going to travel to India and get 7 scrolls of wisdom, and he frees the Monkey King, who's been trapped under a rock because of his defiance of the gods. And he rescues him, and they go on the journey to the west, and Sun Wukong basically protects the monk. And eventually they pick up another cast of characters. They pick up a pig character, and then they pick up a...
So real quick, isn't there a line in early Dragon Ball when Bulma first meets Goku, where I'm pretty sure where she has a line which is something to the effect of, "Geez, kid, what have you been living under a rock?" Or maybe maybe when he meets Oolong or something. Somebody says that to him at some point, which feels like it's supposed to be a callback to that.
I think Bulma does in the dub. I don't know if that might just be a dubism, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Bulma does in the dub. That's funny though. And so then they pick up a pig character who's Oolong, and then they pick up another character, a guy character who I'm guessing is the approximation of Yamcha.
Yeah.
And I only watched the first 3 episodes, and it's basically each episode is the Monkey King runs into a conflict and he learns a lesson. And he's
like Dragon Ball.
Yeah, and it's interesting because he's when you read about this character, he's a mythological character, and these are all based on folk tales and whatnot. And all of these episodes are literal myths and folktales. And it's like, oh yeah, no, this is they've been like crazy simplified because this is a show for children. And so the other thing I watched was there's a Netflix movie called The Monkey King, and it's basically a prequel to the Journey to the West. It's basically the Monkey King has this whole backstory where he was like born from a rock, and he's like a regular monkey, and and the staff he has the America the power pole. He basically steals it inadvertently from this the king of dragons, or the king of serpents, I think is what he is, who wants to use it to like destroy the world, and he steals it, and he uses it to be a demon king, a demon, because he wants to become an immortal and go and get to heaven. Like, what's interesting about this week was I learned a lot about Chinese mythology, and I discovered I knew more about it than I realized. So, like, a big thing in Chinese mythology is the idea of the 8 immortals, which we know from we were both gonna try to watch it this week, but we didn't get a chance to. But you remember in Jackie Chan Adventures?
Yeah, how there's all the different dragons.
Yeah, and who are all banished by a different warrior?
Yeah.
They're all real people.
Ah.
Well, they're all. Well, I don't know if they're real people, but they're real figures in like Taoism or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of Jackie Chan's kung fu, a lot of his style is based around them.
Huh.
Yeah, and so he basically, the Monkey King the movie is basically about him trying to like gain acceptance from the immortals, and he takes on a girl who's his assistant as he attempts these feats, and they're kind of similar to like the Hercules labors, kind of. He eventually there's a whole thing of there's a big a plot point of she's secretly like working for the bad guy to try to like get something for the village or whatever, and it basically explains how I said he was under the rock. Well, he was trapped under the rock because he tried to start a war against heaven, and that's basically, this movie is about all the events that lead up to that.
So he's kind of their Lucifer.
Sort of, kind of. More chaotic than that, though.
That's saying something, because Lucifer's pretty chaotic.
Yeah, like, that's his whole thing. His whole thing is he's just, at least that's kind of how that movie represents him, is like he's not really a good guy or a bad guy. He's just, it presents him as being like really arrogant. And then
so,
I guess
Loki, Chinese Loki.
Yeah, I guess Chinese Loki maybe would be a better better comparison. And they're both all right. The show's really old, and like it's like anime from China, so it's like it's really cheap, like really cheap. And then yeah, so then that's one half of what Dragon Ball is based on. The other half is a movie called Drunken Master. And I watched both of them. I watched Drunken Master 1 and 2. And my history with the Drunken Master is the first time I watched it, it was a Blu-ray called, or I think maybe it might have been a DVD called Legend of Drunken Master. And I watched it, and I got confused because I was like, this feels like a sequel to a movie I never saw. It was just one of those movies. And I'm watching it.
And it was.
I was like, oh, it was. So this time I watched, which I hadn't seen, I watched the first Drunken Master. And it's quite good. It's Jackie Chan's second movie, so he's really quite young. And it doesn't really have a plot. Like, it has a story, which the story is it's about Jackie Chan learning the drunken boxing technique. But, like, overall, it doesn't really have a plot. He's a young guy who is the son of a martial arts master. And the movie is really a series of vignettes of him getting into shenanigans and into trouble. So, like, he starts a fight with his karate, or his dad's martial arts instructor. He gets frisky with the young girl in the marketplace who turns out to be his cousin.
Awkward.
He gets into a fight with this. He beats up the son of a local like rich guy. And they're all really solid. They're super fast. Like, I mean, I cannot say enough of how just good Jackie Chan is, especially young Jackie Chan. Like, he is so fast, and like in the 70s, like you can't fake what he's doing. Like, the amount of skill and, like I say, technique involved in what he has to do. What's funny though to me is I don't know if like part of kung fu is that you have to like announce every one of your moves. We're like striking crane, bend downwards like after every move. But yeah, it's sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say, yeah, when I think kung fu, it's definitely a thing where there are certain people who they are synonymous with the kung fu movie genre. Jackie Chan is one of those people.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Like, you think Jackie Chan, and I think all of his crazy stunts that he does and the kung fu that he does.
But so it's funny because so yeah, this first one is really just a series of him getting in trouble. Eventually, he gets put under the care of this master who's really tough. He's so bad. He trains people too hard, so they die. And he trains him and teaches him the drunken boxing technique, which is a sort of amalgamation of the like 8 drunken immortals. And yeah, he beats the bad guy. And it's really just about him learning drunken boxing. You don't really have to see it to enjoy the second one. Like, the second one's also good. And yeah, again, there's more of a story. You find out that the dad doesn't like drunken boxing because he said no one has ever mastered drunken boxing without becoming a full-bore alcoholic. It's the only because it's the only way to obtain your true power, and everyone who does it just ends up becoming an alcoholic.
A filthy drunk.
Just a filthy drunk. Yeah, Jackie Chan's dad just beats him up a lot. Just a lot. Yeah, they're very good movies. They're very fun. If you like just good choreographed fight sequences, it's definitely one of those ones where it's just really, really good. He is. I think the one scene where you see him, he's just shredded.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, he is.
I mean, Jackie Chan is still in fantastic shape, and he's like 60-something years old.
Yeah, incredible. One of his best performances. I think that's it. That's it for Rapid Fire, Jordan. That is the foundation of Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball.
Gotta
get those dragon. Anyway, so now it's time to talk about have scenes. Da-da!
Are you proud of what you just did?
What if I am? You gonna come in here and fight me?
No, it's just a question.
All right, then you just be sitting there and looking fine while I talk about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
I like that. I maintain that movie is the best movie of Phase 4.
I maintain that you're right, and I like it all, except I don't like the fact that they have left the whole mystery of the rings and Shang-Chi and like all of that. Where's my Shang-Chi 2?
I like it. I like Simu Limu. Look, that bus sequence.
The bus sequence is so good.
It's just really good. It's just really
like the fight sequences in this movie are tight. Like they're tight.
I think
there's no.
Does it devolve to CGI nonsense in the third act? Yes, but all these movies do. I think that we need to remove that as a point of criticism because they all do it. It's a Marvel superhero movie. Of course, it's going to do that. Always that doesn't rise above that. And yeah, I think the Kung Fu's good. I really, that Marvel What If show, like the rest of us, assumed there'd be a second one of these by now. It's a real shame that there hasn't been. And I want a second one. It's perplexing because this movie did really well. Like, really well. You'd think that they want to put out a second one. I don't understand. Like, that's the only thing that's frustrating for me about this movie. I don't mind that it does a big punch in the third act. I've never minded that because it's a Marvel thing, and that's what Marvel things do. Right? It's the CGI dragon monstrosity. It's what Marvel does. Yeah, like it's what Marvel does. It's like I wasn't shocked by that, so it doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me about this movie, I mean, I remember back in the day, I thought that them killing off. I can't remember the character's name. The dad. The Mandarin, thank you. I thought the fact back like when I first saw this, and I still do to a degree, think that them killing off the Mandarin was kind of a waste. Dumb waste.
But the thing that most frustrates me is, yeah, they set up this whole the rings are putting out a signal calling to someone, and we still have no idea who or what that's supposed to be.
Right? They have not paid
Like,
it off yet.
they've not even acknowledged it, and that's frustrating.
They'll pay it off in the next Avengers movie and be like, "See, we did it. We did it."
Oh no! See, they can't. They can't pay it off. They can't pay it off satisfactorily now because it was definitely calling Kang the Conqueror.
Oh, I'm sure
That's
who
who
it was.
That's who it was calling. It was some technology left by him, and it was calling Kang the Conqueror.
I mean, they could still maybe be like, it's Fing Fan Boom.
I mean, they could, or they could be like, oh, it was Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom has always known about the multiverse, and he traveled back here thousands of years ago and left some of his technology. They could find some retroactive way, but it was definitely supposed to be Kang the Conqueror.
The important part was I wanted to see more from Shang-Chi. I like this character. I genuinely like this character. I like seeing him, like I said.
I like him, and I even like his sidekick. They're fun together. They're funny together.
Dislike Awkwafina. I know that's like a hot take nowadays, but I don't dislike Awkwafina.
I think she's actually funny in this one.
I think she's. You know what? I'm going to say it. Hot take. Fine, actually.
Not like stellar necessarily, but like. Her zany, wacky sidekick energy meshes well with Shang-Chi's like serious kind of straight energy.
She's got wacky sidekick energy, and it's what this kind of movie needs. It needs a wacky sidekick.
And I mean, heck, I'll say it. I don't even mind that they bring back fake Mandarin.
I actually like fake Mandarin. He's coming back for. I've developed a like for him. I liked him the first time I watched this, and even you were still like residual dislike. But like once you understand what he is, and like you appreciate I appreciate that twist in retrospect. Like I still don't love it, but
I still hate it. It still upsets me.
I'm excited for Wonder Man because also I just like Ben Kingsley. It's hard to ignore.
That's more my thing. Is I like Ben Kingsley, and so I'm a little more forgiving nowadays because I've seen him in more stuff.
Yeah,
but,
like I'm excited for that Wonder Man show because he's supposedly going to be in it, and I think that's rad.
Wonder Man related to Wonder Woman?
No,
not
related. No,
not at all.
Not at all. No.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I mean, I don't know what else is there to say about this. It had a budget of 150 to 200 million, and it had a box office of 432.2 million. I believe it saved the movie theater.
Yeah, it absolutely did. I maintain that. If this didn't do well, No Way Home was going to go to streaming, and this proved movie theaters' viability post-COVID. Because this did well, they put No Way Home back in the theaters, and then No Way Home made like $1 billion, proving that people were still willing to go to the movie theater.
And the choreography, like we cannot speak highly enough of it.
Really good. Like that's like one of those scenes where it's just fun to put it on YouTube and just watch that scene.
By December 2021, development on a sequel had begun, with Cretton returning to write and direct. Liu was also expected to return as Shang-Chi. By the following month, he wanted the sequel to explore what his character would do with the newfound power of the Ten Rings. Yada, yada, yada. Liu said in July 2023 that he was unsure when the film would be made. Yada, yada, yada. Cretton, by that November, Cretton stepped down as director of the planned film Avengers Kang Dynasty. Yada, yada, yada. In April 2024, Liu confirmed that the film was in development when responded to fans who were concerned about the lack of news on the sequel. That December, Cretton was chosen to direct a fourth MCU Spider-Man film, which was a higher priority for Marvel Studios than the Shang-Chi sequel.
Yeah,
so that's why. So that's why we haven't got Shang-Chi. It's Spider-Man's fault.
Yeah. I believe he's directing. We talked about this on the show. I believe he's directing the next Spider-Man movie.
He's been I just said that. He's been chosen to direct the fourth one.
If we got to team him up with
if he can bring some of that sweet Shang-Chi choreography to Spider-Man,
down.
I'll be okay with that. I'll be down.
You know how the Spider-Man movies have to have a Marvel character in it though? I'm just saying. I'd watch Spider-Man Marvel team up movie. I watched Tom Holland and Simu Liu team up.
Okay.
I'd watch it.
I respect that.
I
respect that.
I'd go see that in theaters.
I respect your choices.
I'd buy that with the discounted price using a Cine Club ticket.
You want to live your own way, under no one else's expectations but your own.
Would you, Jordan?
I understand.
Jordan, would you go?
Yeah. Fuck it. I'd be down.
Right. So okay, Jordan, is that it? That's Shang-Chi.
That is No, not Shang-Chi, Justin. It's Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi in a nutshell.
Shang-Chi.
So Jordan, my first movie. I completely forgot. So I did the Monkey King and the Drunken Master as a lead into Dragon Ball. As though I were going to talk about Dragon Ball, and it's funny because I'm not. I'm in fact actually going to talk about a movie. And the big deal about this one, this is a movie called The Forbidden Kingdom. 2009, stars Jet Li and Jackie Chan. And the big thing with this one is the first time that Jet Li and Jackie Chan were going to be in a movie together. Because they were stars in their own right of the Hong Kong action movie. Like, they were two big Chinese stars. They're finally going to team up and be in this movie, which is about the Monkey King. Basically, Jet Li is the Monkey King. And he gets trapped by the Jade Warlord in stone after the Jade Emperor goes off for his 5,500 year pilgrimage. And what's neat is all these characters are characters within Chinese mythology. So I'm gonna do a bad comparison, but it's gonna be the best way you're gonna kind of understand. So the Jade Emperor, how the celestial Chinese gods kind of seem to work based on these movies I watched seem to work as there is the gods the immortals who are in heaven, and they're led by the Jade Emperor who is in charge of heaven, but in charge of them is the Buddha, and they all worship the Buddha, and the Buddha can has powers above them all, and so the Buddha is the one who trapped him under the stone.
Okay. I thought Buddha was a big fat guy who was all about peace.
Apparently not. Or apparently he also is. I don't know. I did a real surface level research on this, Jordan. But anyway, so these are all characters.
Maybe what I just said is horribly offensive and someone's going to come at me. I don't know. Maybe I've just secretly canceled myself.
I learned this week that there was a lot of this is another one of those weeks similar to when we did Japan, where I kind of Chinese culture is different, and just my perspective on things. I'm this doesn't seem as offensive or as they're making it out to be, or it's just kind of stuff like that. I
don't know. Some of the stuff that I saw in mine is as I was watching it, I was ooh, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So.
Jet Li plays the Monkey King, and he gets tricked by the Jade
Serpent
General, not the king, not the emperor, but the general. He gets tricked by him into fighting without using his magic staff, and he casts his magic staff out into the ether, and he gets trapped in stone for 500 years. And in present day, a white guy like us, who is obsessed with kung fu movies, Bruce Lee movies, the very movies we were talking about today, goes into a antique shop which is selling these the pawn shop, owned by and ran by Jackie Chan in old man makeup, where he's trying to do an old man voice, but because he has a thick accent, you can't understand a word he's saying. Because he's trying to do an old man voice, it's impossible to understand what he's saying. And so he it turns out, has the staff, the Monkey King staff. And he's held on to it. So his grandpa had it, and it got passed down to his dad. And they've been waiting for the guy who's supposed to take it back to its original owner. And then in the middle of the night, these bad hooligan kids trick this white kid into robbing the Jackie Chan store, and Jackie Chan gets shot, and the magic staff sends the kid back in time to ancient China, where the Jade Warlord, that's his name, where the Jade Warlord is looking for the Monkey King staff, and he runs into Jackie Chan, who, I can't remember the character's name, so I'm just going to call him Jackie Chan, but he's another folklore mythological figure who's real. Like, he's another one of those ones where, like, he has, like, mythological and, like stories told about him. Like, the one thing I kind of picked up about Chinese history is they really seem to kind of have a meticulous history of, like, they kind of seem to have written everything down, because there's a lot of these people who, like, they did this mythological stuff, but they were real people. Like, they were historically real people. And so this is the guy who
So kind of like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, very similar, yeah.
Where it's like he was a real person, but he's been deified.
Kind of, yeah, sort of, yeah. And so this guy, he's a drunken boxer. So he's a master of drunken boxing, and he's a straight drunk. He runs into the kid, and basically the whole thing is they have to return the staff to the Monkey King so the Monkey King can come back to life. And they run into Jet Li, who is a monk. Okay, and here's a question. So there's a character in this movie called the Sparrow, and she constantly refers to herself in, and I couldn't. My friend said it was the third person, but I'm interested to see what you say. Like, she's like, if I were to do it, I'd be like, this man is doing this podcast. He is currently talking to you, the incomparable Jordan. This man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's third person.
I would have said fourth or second. I would have said fourth person.
I don't think fourth person is a thing.
Is it not a thing?
Let's find out.
Is fourth person a thing?
Talking. Maybe second person?
Yeah, they said it was third person. I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But also, I was like, I don't know, that doesn't seem right. But I believe them.
Talking in the fourth person refers to a narrative technique where a story is told using the pronouns we, us, and our.
Oh, okay. No, it's not.
Essentially creating a collective voice where the narrator speaks as if representing a group of people. What about talking in the second person?
Interesting.
Hold on.
And yeah,
See, this is where we need Allie around. She's the one that knows all this kind of stuff.
She's the literary person.
Talking in second person means using the pronouns you, your, and yours to address someone directly.
Gotcha.
Then let's look up third. Now I'm just interested. What the actual... Because I understand third person to be like, if I was to start going like, the incomparable Jordan thinks that we should do this.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
But maybe that's the first person.
No, your first person is I. I am doing this. That's first person. Here, can share with the class there, champ?
I'm looking it up. Talking in the third person means referring to yourself as if you are someone else, using pronouns like he, she, or they instead of I or me, essentially creating a detached perspective when discussing your own actions or thoughts, often considered a quirk or a way to sound more objective.
All right, then.
Example, John is feeling a bit nervous today instead of I am feeling a bit nervous today.
Pardon me. Yeah, so it's a Jackie Chan movie.
So yes, to answer the question, I guess technically it's the third person.
The fight sequences are good. There's a twist at the end that the monk that's been with the group the whole time is just a clone of the Monkey King. It's a really dumb twist. It's given away by the fact that Jet Li is playing the Monkey King. I don't know that I understand why they made him the Monkey King. I don't know that he was maybe the right. His energy feels like, because the Monkey King is
Prankster.
Yeah,
Loki.
it's just not working for me. I don't know why. Oh,
because what I've seen of Jet Li is he seems more stiff.
Yeah, he's quite a bit more stiff. Yeah, he just doesn't. I think maybe like if Jackie Chan were the Monkey King, it would have maybe made more sense.
I don't know that. I don't know that Jackie Chan would have worked either necessarily.
But yeah,
I don't know who you would choose.
It's also a tad white savoury with the chosen one is some random white guy. That's one where Jackie Chan's on the poster, but he's not really the main character. I will say there's a lot of really fun montages of them teaching him kung fu, which they pronounce as gung fu. That was the thing I also learned, that in China it's not pronounced kung fu with a K, it's pronounced gung fu with a G.
Kung fu.
Kung fu.
Kung fu.
And there's a lot of really fun scenes of them, and it just got me thinking of like that for that guy. Can you imagine for the rest of you, like that must be like a career highlight, just having a scene where like Jackie Chan and Jet Li are teaching me kung fu. That feels like that'd be pretty rad,
right?
Like that would be a pretty cool moment for me. There was a lot of references in it that because I'd watched Drunken Master and because I'd been watching these movies that I'm like I appreciate. And yeah, I learned a bit about Chinese mythology that I didn't otherwise know. That was also really interesting. It's surprisingly complex. I enjoyed it. But yeah, that's The Forbidden Kingdom. Very fun movie. Very good movie. Quite enjoyed it. Recommend. Fully recommend.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say?
No, that's it.
All right. So my second have seen. So you did the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I did the second. And now I'm laying claim to the third one.
I have laid claim to a third Turtles movie.
They end up in feudal Japan, and it really feels like an old, like, samurai type movie.
I rewatched that one fairly recently, and I didn't hate it.
Yeah, so, okay. Here's my thing. I enjoy it for what it is. I understand why at the time people didn't like it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because at the time, people wanted it to be more like the 80s cartoon and have characters and things that you recognize from that. I appreciate it as just being a turtle story.
Right? It's just a fun Turtles movie.
It's just a fun Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. The Turtles are still acting like the Turtles. Like you still have April O'Neil. It's still fun. It's still like it has everything I need it to be.
And the time travel mechanic makes sense. Like there's logic to it. Like
yeah, they trade based on the weight and mass of the person, and so like it makes sense.
They all got to be holding the thing, you know. Yeah, it just makes sense.
And it's fairly simple. I mean, they go back in time. They stop at Daimyo. You like and like you question whether they're changing time or whether that it was always a thing that was meant to happen, because like the Japanese people have images of the turtles,
right?
So and like makes you question like, oh, okay, so are they gonna then in terms of the timeline here, are they going to time travel in the future to go further in the past for themselves to have been seen? Like was there plans for like a third or a fourth one where they go back in time again? Was that just a fun reference? And then when I'm reading here, there was at one point plans for a fourth one. Hold on, I'm trying to find future. There it is. Early plans for a fourth installment. Yada yada yada. Script titled TMNT4 The Foot Walks Again was written by Craig Shapiro and John Travis. And Peter Laird has released concept designs for a version which he says would have been titled Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: The Next Mutation, which instead the TV series Ninja Turtles
became the show.
The Next Mutation was produced, sharing little with the prior concept work except the title, subtitle, title, whatever.
Yes.
And then the next theatrical movie for the Turtles was the 2007 CGI animated film TMNT, which references these past movies. So from what I remember of it, I remember when they're in their underground place, and yeah, I seem to remember in that layer. Thank you.
Layer.
And from what I remember,
Jordan.
Layer.
Layer.
From what I remember, in that movie, yeah, you see the time travel thing on one of their shelves. And I think you see Shredder's mask on another one or something like that.
Yes. Yes, you do.
But I don't have too much more to say about this one. The effects on the turtles themselves, especially considering it came out in '93, is pretty fantastic. Like the costumes and stuff.
Sorry. I was just checking out sound. I'm paranoid about the sound now. Say that last thing you were saying again. I apologize.
I said, the other thing is that the turtle themselves, the costumes, the masks, like the emotiveness that they are able to produce, especially considering it was made in '93.
Yeah.
Is pretty impressive.
I mean, they still look pretty good. I mean, they don't look as good as they had in previous movies. The budget is getting lower as these things have gone on, but they're still fun movies.
I mean, I don't know what the budget would have to do with the costumes that already exist.
The costumes I think are by that one were, as I recall, starting to fall apart. Like they're not as well maintained as they were in the first one.
Well, I mean, of course not. It's been years at this point.
It's the third one. The effort's not nearly as there as it was in previous movies.
The march of time has gone on and things wear down. But as we say in the business, that's the news.
That's the news.
That's all I have to say about Turtles 3. It's good. I like it. I mean, again, it's not as good as the first two. And it had a budget of $21 million and only made $54.4 million back.
Did not do well.
So, didn't do as great as previous Turtles movies, which I assume had more money coming in.
So my next three movies, Jordan, are pretty well. It's just like a top three of just standout iconic pieces of cinema. Because my next movie,
three.
Yeah.
Oh, next three.
So my next one, which is a movie I had seen before, it is the inspiration for everything martial arts related everywhere. There's so much Tekken, like the character Forrest Law from Tekken just straight up does moves from this movie. This is Enter the Dragon, Jordan, starring Bruce Lee. And the plot of this thing is Bruce Lee is a teacher from a martial arts island compound kind of dealio. And he is recruited by the British intelligence, James Bond, to sneak onto the island of a former student of their island who every 3 years has a martial arts tournament, and he is to he's using this as a front for a prostitution and drug ring.
The King of Iron Fist tournament 3?
Yeah, kind of. And he's using this tournament to cover up his criminal activities. Basically, Bruce Lee. I'm really bad with their names, but this one gentleman who is he's a singer and a degenerate gambler, and a black gentleman with an afro. All is a very 1970s movie. Bruce Lee is wearing bell bottoms and high tops, and they all have to join this martial arts tournament. Bruce Lee's there to avenge the death of his sister by the henchmen of the bad guy, who basically his sister was about to get attacked, and so she seppukus herself instead of being attacked by this guy, and so he's there to stop the bad guy and avenge his sister, and it's really good. But it's really good. It's a really good movie. The fight sequences are phenomenal. It's the last movie Bruce Lee made before he died. The fight sequences are phenomenal. Bruce Lee is phenomenal. All of the actors are all really good. My one thing though, Bruce Lee is like ahead of his time. It's an absolute shame that he died. He is so charismatic. He's like, this movie is like the 1970s, but it feels like I'm watching a movie from like the 1990s. That makes sense?
Okay. Ahead of his time is the word of the day.
Yeah. And like, he's almost too good in this movie because it makes the fight sequences not look believable. Like some of the fight sequences are like, the main bad guy is this guy who's like super short and tiny, and so there's a really funny fight sequence where we have to fight the black guy who like looks like he's like almost 6 foot tall, maybe over 6 foot tall, and he like kicks over the bad guy's head in a fashion that it just doesn't look like he would lose in a fight to this guy. But he had, and then that happens later on at the end.
So would you say he's too fast, too furious?
He's just too big. He's just too big of a guy, like, for it to be believable that he would lose. And so the same thing happens with Bruce Lee at the end, where Bruce Lee is so hyper competent that it doesn't look like he would like lose to this guy. So they try to mitigate it by giving the bad guy like a claw hand. And like a yeah, his hand like detaches, and he puts on like this claw hand that like if it hits Bruce Lee gets all cut up.
Okay, that sounds dope.
And I'm pretty sure the guy with the afro, I think I don't not in how he fights, but just in his look, I'm pretty sure that Tiger from Tekken 3, I think, is based off of him.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure. And then obviously, yeah, Force Law is based off of Bruce Lee.
So here's the important thing, Justin. I'm not saying I want to lose access to my hands, but if I ever do, I want claw hands.
I mean, that's fair. Also, I've just realized, I forgot to tell you, I have to tell you about some of the, no, forget it. No, we're not going back. Never mind. I'll tell you about it off air. It's ridiculous. Some of the Monkey King's powers. You've got so many superpowers. They're dumb.
He has the power of being a god and doing whatever he wants.
Pretty much. Like, you know what? Screw it. We're going to do it now. He has 72 earthly transformations that allow him access to 72 unique powers, including, and not limited to, the ability to transform into animals and objects. He is a skilled fighter. His hair has magical properties, capable of making copies of himself or transforming into various weapons or animals and other things. He has partial weather manipulation and can freeze people in place and become invisible.
That checks out.
Also, you mentioned the cloud. He can also just straight up fly.
Oh, so he's Goku.
He can fly. He's Goku. Yeah.
Or Goku is him.
He's Goku. That was a weird diversion away from. What were we talking? We were talking about.
We were talking about.
Oh yeah,
whatever you were talking about.
Enter the Dragon felt like a movie that was set that should have had like 5. Like, just such a travesty, whatever you want to say, that Bruce Lee died so young, because Enter the Dragon should have had like 5 sequels, and he should be like Jackie Chan and like just retiring now.
I mean, yeah, he should.
A ridiculously talented guy, and it was like one of those. Enter the Dragon is one of those movies where, like, anytime I'm like, oh, movies are, I find myself settling into like a mindset like you used to have, where you're like, a movie being old makes it less good. And I'm like, I watch this movie, and this movie's just so good that I'm like, no, this movie's so good. Like, it's just, and it's an absolute 1970s movie.
I mean, there are always classics.
This is an absolute
but
iconic piece of cinema.
If it's not a classic and it's old, it's hard to watch.
I mean, true. Anyway, that's Enter the Dragon. Very good movie. Very, very good movie.
Okay. Is that your final have seen?
That is. It's on to the have not seen.
It's time to talk about things that we have not seen before. And so I am going to start with the one. And no, we're not talking about Neo.
We're not talking about
We're talking about Jet Li in The One.
We're talking about Loki. I mean Jet Li in The One. A movie I watched last week for cloning that I didn't get to talk about because I cut it.
Cloning /multiverse.
And this really like that movie.
This is a very good movie, and it's always impressive. It's always impressive when you have an actor playing multiple versions of yourself, and when you believe that they are the same, like that they are both versions. And I
criticism I forgot to mention, and it's a similar criticism I have on this, where this feels like it got test audienced, and the Forbidden Kingdom had a similar problem where the movie just kind of cuts out what I like. It feels like early on in the one there was it cut out all the scenes involving the guy becoming evil. Like, it just kind of feels like it leaps to him. I feel like I'm entering mid-movie. That was my one thing.
Yeah, I could see why you would say that. And it wouldn't have taken much. Like, it just a short exposition scene in the beginning where you see him with, like, a master or something. Like, he's like a kung fu student, and he has a master who's talking about it all or something. Like, some small scene like that.
Yeah, well, it just felt like
to kick it off.
In the case of the Forbidden Kingdom, it felt like there was because it's about an hour and 45 minutes, so it felt like this was a 2-hour movie where they cut out the scene which like really established the white kid, and because somebody went, hey, how come it takes so long to get to Jackie Chan, and so it wanted to get to Jackie Chan as fast as possible. This is kind of a similar nature where it was like it just wants to get to him chasing after the cop Jet Li, but like it kind of feels like it misses a step by like skipping over like the scene where he first kills the first Jet Li and he goes crazy. It just kind of feels like I'm starting in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
We're back on the rails now.
I don't disagree. So yeah.
Funny how certain storytelling elements like remain, like the MVA as opposed to the TVA.
Yeah, right. I definitely see the comparison between this and Loki. Definitely.
Yep.
But Lee plays a dual role as Yulaw and Gabe Law, and he does a pretty fantastic job.
Yeah, and at the end of it, doesn't it? At the end of it, he still has superpowers at the end of it?
Yeah, but he's locked in like the Hades realm or something like that, the prison realm, and he's fighting a bunch of the other prisoners, and he's like,
absolutely sets up for a sequel.
Do the best one, and it definitely sets up for a sequel that it never got.
It absolutely never got. Nope. And like it's one of those ones where like, yeah, Jet Li can already do unbelievable things, so giving him superpowers doesn't make him more interesting, and the superpowers look bad.
Yeah, it just makes him harder to kill.
Yeah, none of them really look good. It's one of those things where you're already stepping into. He's like, oh, you have superpowers, don't you? Yeah,
but it's kind of cool getting to see Jet Li do 9 different roles.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's another one of those like it's before they were famous, so Jason Statham shows up, and I think he's trying to do an American accent. It sounded like he was maybe trying to do an American accent.
If he is, then it really was a failed attempt because he just sounded like Jason Statham to me.
Jason Statham.
Though it was funny because I see him pop up and like I kind of looked. I wasn't paying attention. I heard the voice. And I had to go back and look back up, and I was like, "Was that Jason Statham?" And I'm like, "It is Jason Statham."
Is that Jason Statham? But yeah, they do a pretty good job of he looks convincing fighting himself. Like it doesn't. I don't think.
That's what I'm saying. Is I like it to me. It's always impressive when it feels like they are actually fighting themselves.
Right.
And it does.
Right?
Although there's a couple points when you're seeing one of the Jet Lis from behind where I'm like, that's not Jet Li.
That's not Jet Li. Yeah, and look, he's fun. I don't think he's as charismatic as Jackie Chan, but he's fun in his own way.
I never got big into Jet Li like I did Jackie Chan.
No, not in the same way.
Like Jet Li, the only other Jet Li movie I can really think of that I've seen is The Expendables.
True. Yeah, I do like The Expendables. He's pretty fun in that one.
Whereas Jackie Chan, like, that was something funny enough, speaking of The Expendables, that was something that I remember when we saw that movie being like, I remember saying, I don't know who Jet Li is, but it feels like it should be Jackie Chan.
I do have a vague recollection of saying something of that nature, yeah.
Yeah, no, this one's fun. I enjoyed this one. Also, I watched this one after I watched my second Have Not Seen, and my other Have Not Seen was in Chinese/Japanese. At least I assume it's Japanese. We'll get there, but it was in a foreign language is the point, and I had to read subtitles for it. And so this one being in English was nice after having to read subtitles.
I sympathize because you're good? You're done?
Yeah, I'm done.
My first Have Not Seen is a movie called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And look, okay, this movie was in Chinese. And this is not unrelated to the movie itself. This is purely a commentary on Crave, which had the option to turn on a English subtitle track, but all the English subtitles were every 2 seconds it would pop up speaking Mandarin. That was it. Speaking Mandarin. And then
so useless.
And then everyone's silence. And then it would describe sound effects. And then I'm like, what is the point in this? Like, clearly, obviously, you think deaf people are stupid? They know they're speaking Mandarin. Okay. Okay. This movie is very well received up until this year. It is the highest, most award-winning movie of all time. It's really good. Jordan, do you like swords?
Yes.
Jordan, do you like swords? Swords,
yes.
Jordan. Swords. Like, it is one of the best swords movie I've ever seen. So much swords. Super cool. The sword fighting is awesome. The kung fu fighting is awesome. You do have to read some Mandarin, and it is sandwiched between some of the most melodramatic shit I have ever seen. You have to read quite a bit of Mandarin. Listen to quite a bit of Mandarin talking. But the action sequences are absolutely tight. And I won't lie and say I wasn't invested in the drama. The tone is weird, though. For me, I don't know. I could absolutely be misreading it. It's totally possible. But there's just certain scenes where it felt like it was trying to be funny. But when I looked it up, the Google was very explicitly like, no, this is not meant to be funny. And I'm like, it really feels like there's a scene where there's a opposing force bad guys and they're the good guys and they're sizing up on opposite sides of the field and they go to run at each other and the guy has like a long Chinese braid and the Chinese braid gets caught in something and he gets yanked back and it's played. It feels like it's being played for laughs. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like this is a.
I don't think it's play. You're not supposed to laugh, Justin.
It's hard to tell. The guy who plays Master Roshi in Dragon Ball Evolution is in it. He's really good. Michelle Yeoh is phenomenal. She's so good. The plot very basically is about Chow Yun-fat, who you know him as Master Roshi in Dragon Ball Evolution or the Chinese Pirate King in Pirates 3. He is a warrior a sword-wielding warrior who basically wants to retire. And he's going to give his sword to like a local... this is one of those, I don't know Chinese culture, but basically like a local lord, I guess, to sort of signify that he's done using it, basically.
I see.
And there's a visiting governor whose daughter is being betrothed to marry some other lord's son for political reasons. And she doesn't want to do that. And the sword ends up getting stolen by some mysterious thief who, spoiler alert, you find out is the daughter of this governor. And there's almost an 45 minutes, 30 to 40, maybe almost an hour of this movie is this really long extended backstory of this girl and her falling in love with what is essentially a villager, like a peasant, and their backstory and their love story. And for most of it, it's about the mystery of what's happening to the sword, and there's all these really cool fight sequences, and then out of nowhere, it's just this really boring, Chinese, romantic drama that just wasn't really doing anything for me. And then the minute I started to find myself doing this, there's a sick action sequence that is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Also, there's Michelle Yeoh and Chan and the girl who is stolen a manual from this group of warriors who also have superpowers because they can all fly.
Okay, that's different.
There's a scene because the girl, she's basically her mentor is an evil witch who he's trying to get revenge on or whatever. I'm doing a really basic generalized job describing the plot of this thing, but
yeah, I'm feeling that.
She there's a scene where they've cornered her and she flies away on a cloth, on a ribbon, and it looks like they have superpowers. They have super strength, and they can do all kinds of weird floating and flying and stuff. But it's never, at least maybe I missed it because my mind, it's a subtitled movie. You experience this kind of wandered.
Yeah, at times. Yeah.
So I can't figure out, and maybe someone can answer this in the comments for me. Where did the superpowers come from? Just out of nowhere, they all have superpowers, and I couldn't figure out where it came from. It made for some sick action sequences. Don't get me wrong, but it made no sense to me. And I'm if this is supposed to be based in reality, it's making this feel supernatural, and I don't know if that's supposed to be the point. I couldn't tell. But it's a really good movie if you can handle if you want to see some, honest to God, sick sword fights, some of the sickest sword. And it's 2 hours, but it winds up being an hour 55, so it doesn't feel overly long. It's honestly really good. I was really impressed by how good it was. You would like it. Recommend. That's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There were no dragons or tigers.
Sorry, I messed up the joke.
So want me to,
was there any crouching though?
Oh, wait, would you like me to cue you in again?
Yeah.
There were neither no dragons nor tigers in that movie, Jordan.
Okay, but most importantly, was there any crouching done in it?
Yes, there actually was.
Huh. Okay.
In order to do
then I'm satisfied. I got my money's worth.
In order to do the kung fu, they had to crouch sometimes.
All right. I respect that.
Yeah. No, it was really good. I enjoyed it. Jordan, that's my first half scene. Jordan, what's your final movie of the week? Final movie of the week.
My final have scene.
Nailing it every day.
So obviously you watch Bruce Lee movies.
Heck yeah, you watch Bruce Lee movies.
So if I say the name Ip Man, does that mean anything to you?
Sort of. I'm familiar with it. It's one of those ones I've always wanted to watch. Because I hear it's really
No,
good.
not. But that's a person.
Oh no, I didn't know it was a person. I knew it was a movie. There's 5 of them.
4. There's 4 of them.
Close.
But it's based on it's a biographical martial arts film, which is based on it's based on the life of Ip Man. So Ip Man is his name is Ip Man. He's a grandmaster of the martial art Wing Chun, and he's the teacher of martial artist legend Bruce Lee.
Oh.
So all those badass moves that you see him doing are a result of Ip Man teaching him. He's very famous.
Huh.
Very famous.
And he's Japanese, you said. Not Chinese.
Not Japanese. He's Chinese.
He's Chinese. Yeah. That's what I
thought. So this movie, the languages are Cantonese, Mandarin, and Japanese. And basically the movie it starts in 1935, and it takes place in Foshan, which is a hub of Southern Chinese martial arts, and you see basically Ip Man. He's a well-respected master. He's very, very good at martial arts. And
so
this one
is his name actually Ip Man or is it IP Man?
No, it's technically it's Whip, like with a W.
Oh,
Whip Man, but it's pronounced Ip Man.
Gotcha.
As I understand it, or Yip. Sorry, Grandmaster Yip Man. Yip YIP, but it's pronounced Ip, as I understand it. Anyway, over the course of the movie, it takes place during, like I said, 1935, like at the height of the Second Sino-Japanese War.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my thing went backwards. Yeah, during the Second Sino Sino Japanese War, Ip and his family are forced to move into a decrepit apartment out of their mansion because the Imperial Japanese Army confiscates his house to use as military headquarters. Then him and his family are on hard times, so Ip finds work in a coal mine. And then the Japanese general, who's a Japanese karate master, he basically sets up an arena where Chinese martial artists can fight with his military trainees to earn rice, because the Japanese have come in and taken all of their rice and everyone's starving. And one of Ip's friends or colleagues or whatever, friend I think it is, family member. This is where it being in a different language and in subtitles, some of it gets a little lost on me.
Yeah, no,
but
I get that.
What I can say is someone who is important to Ip decides to go and fight in this arena, and he gives up, basically. He surrenders during this one fight where it's 3 Japanese fighters versus him. And this fellow, Lin, goes to collect a bag of rice that he had already won, and the general's second in command or something, someone who is slightly less important than him, shoots Lin. And Ip sees this, or Ip figures out or discovers this or something to that effect, and is pissed, like super upset. And so then he's like, let me in, I want to fight. And he's like, 10 fighters against me right now. And when I say it is like one of the best choreographed fight scenes. I'm inclined, after we get off air, and I encourage you, if you can, to put it here for future Justin. But when I say it's like, like there's parts where like he's like elbowing down on like limb joints, and you see them bend backwards the other way, and it is just like, I'm watching this. Or like there's a point where, like near the end, where there's the Japanese guy on the ground below him, and he's like like right into his face, like, and his fists come away bloody. And it's like, knowing that it's like, I don't know how accurate it is to real life, but knowing that it's based on a real person,
right?
Like, just makes it more impressive. And knowing that there's like, 3 other of these movies. Hi, Luke.
Hi, Luke.
Luke and Liz say hi. Keep it up, chaps.
Hi,
Luke. Did not expect that. Sorry, derailing. The kung fu, the fighting in this is very good. And so then
I've always wanted to watch it.
After,
it's really good.
It is, and it's one of those ones where you know how like when we watched Godzilla -1, like there's a certain point where like you're so enwrapped in it that you kind of forget that it's in subtitles.
It passes the phone test.
It did at a certain point.
Yeah.
Like the beginning parts of it are a little slow, and the lead in to the fight scenes, but like when the fight scenes are going, I am in it, man. Like I am enjoying my time watching
I
it.
am in
It's a
it.
thing that transcends language.
I'm in it to win it.
And then there's a later on, um, the Japanese karate master wants to fight Ip, and Ip, from what I remember, Ip tries to go into hiding or he's training, or that's what it is. A guy that he fought earlier in the movie is harassing, um, workers and stuff that he knows, so he starts training them so they can defend themselves. And then he ends up getting taken to fight the Japanese general, and the Japanese general's like subordinate is basically like, yeah, you better lose. If you win, I'm gonna shoot you. And
Keep it, John. I'm gonna kiss you by shooting you. That's
with my bullet.
That's keep it simple, stupid. By shooting him.
Um,
Keeping it simple, Jordan.
and because obviously the Japanese who were live taking over and stuff in this,
not good guys.
They didn't want the Chinese to see that they could fight back and win.
True. This is true.
But Ip wins and then gets shot in the shoulder, and then all the Chinese people like rise up against the Japanese ones that are there, and Ip escapes to live another day. And then that's where the final moments of the movie are they have the text over the screen like, this is what happened to the person later on, and it talks about how Ip, he later founded basically a wing of kung fu, where he trained Bruce Lee, and there's two more movies, up to four movies, and I'd like to watch them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we might have to come back to kung fu because Jordan, is that it?
Yeah, I like I said, I'm probably gonna see if I can just show Justin specifically, if I can show you that one fight scene.
It's funny you say
because
that.
it's pretty rad.
So our final movie of the afternoon of the show. There's certain times when people tell you about movies where they describe it as being the greatest of all time, and you're always like, I hate that.
Sorry, real quick. So apparently, I'm just reading a little bit about the choreography for that movie. Apparently, Japanese actor Hiroyuki Ikiuchi, who holds a black belt in judo, found it difficult working under Hung's command. In one scene, he suffered a mild concussion after receiving 4 consecutive blows.
Oof.
Wow.
Anyway.
So that just tells you how intense it was. Sorry, go on.
There's a certain movies that people are like, oh, this is like the greatest of all time, where you're like, there's no way it could be that good. So, Jordan, I watched a movie called The Raid Redemption, and it's an Indonesian movie about a group of police officers who are raiding. Oh, you know what? I can do this better. You remember that Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban?
Yeah.
It's kind of that. It's that movie. It's the plot.
Oh.
So there's a apartment building where there's a gangster who's at the top of it, and there's a group of policemen who are entering from the bottom, and they're trying to get the bad guy at the top.
Okay, so it is the Judge Dredd I'm thinking of. Okay, good.
Yeah, it's basically that. And the first, like, it's like you said with the Yip Man, where it's sort of slow at first. Like, I saw stuff that declared it the greatest action movie, one of the greatest action movies ever made. And, like, the first little bit of it is they've got guns, and it's all right. They're really coordinated, but it's not really all that. Like, it's all right. Like, it's not blowing my mind. It's not doing anything exceptionally interesting with gunfights. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then about midway, he loses his guns and it becomes hand to hand. And Jordan, when I tell you, it is some of the greatest hand to hand combat I have ever seen in a movie. When you're like, oh, I want to show you the scene, I'm kind of the same way because it's incredible. Like he got police batons and just he fights off like 6 guys, and it's some of the most brutal, violent, harsh hand-to-hand combat I've ever seen. It looks incredible. This guy, I'm like, man, he needs to be in more stuff. Like, let who's ever making these movies do Marvel movies, because this looks incredible. Like, it looks incredible, and much like you're like, there's a sequel to this, and I want to do martial arts movies again because I need to see the sequel to this movie. Because if people say it's better than this one, I don't know how that's possible. This movie is really good. Like, it's really good.
That's where I'm like, because so apparently with this one is the last movie made by a studio called Mandarin Films or something like that. So I'm like, I don't know if the second one is as good because it must be from a different studio, right?
But everyone says the second one is super good, and I'm like, this first one's so good, like to the point that okay, so I would never full bore recommend this, but in this specific case, I'm going to. I watched there's an English dub. And the movie is originally in Indonesian. I don't know what their language is, but I'm gonna call it Indonesian because I don't know what it's actually called. And it was like a hard language for me to listen to, and it made the movie something that I think I watched the first 10 minutes of it originally, and I just couldn't get into it. So I watched the dub, and I thought the dub was all right. I didn't think it was didn't blow my mind or anything, but I didn't think it was terrible. So I'm gonna full bore recommend this movie and tell you that you will love this movie. It's exactly in your wheelhouse, but you should maybe consider watching the dub because I don't think the plot is deep enough, and that the English dub is ruining it by being a little goofy or being a little stilted. And you will absolutely love this movie, legit. I think we'll have a moment once the show's done of showing each other our scenes from this movie because, like I say, it is dope. It is really well. There's 3 to 4 exceptionally long. That's the one thing overall of this week is all of these fight sequences were exceptionally long in a way that wasn't boring. That never stopped being fun to watch or interesting or engaging or it again incredibly well made. Just one of the best action movies I've ever seen in my life. No exaggeration. Just really good.
So for the record, according to Google, Indonesians speak Bahasa Indonesia.
Bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, it was I don't know. It was just kind of I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why. But it's a really good movie. And yeah, if you want to watch it in its original language, you can. I watched the dub. And this is for Jordan and only for Jordan. This is not for the audience. Jordan, you should just watch the dub.
Okay.
When we do,
I respect that.
And I'm gonna find an excuse to do martial arts episodes again, so I can watch the sequel, or maybe we'll do a sequel episode because we talked about the many wise contributions Jordan has made to this show. We'll do that to wrap up the show before we get to the assignment. But Jordan, one of the many wise choices Jordan insisted on was one entry per franchise per episode. So it's now
for the most part
we can do sequels episode, and I can watch the raid for another episode because I didn't just I just didn't burn all in one episode.
Exactly.
Also, there's more Jackie Chan movies I want to do.
Sometimes you gotta tease them to please them.
You gotta think with your big boy brain and not your little boy brain.
Let's not make this weird.
I didn't make it weird.
I know. Neither did I. I'm saying let's not make this weird.
Now you've made it weird by saying make it weird.
That in and of itself does not make it weird. You then doubling down on I didn't make it weird is what made it weird.
Dang it, he's right. So, as we said at the top of the show, we are in our 100 era. And as such, I've been trying to think for the past like week and a half, what can we do topic wise that like represents 100? And I've mentioned it before, but I don't know, maybe I don't know if I'm gonna link it in this week or next week, probably this week. I did a little series on TikTok called Top 100, where
well, throw that in my face, why don't you? Jeez.
Where you can watch it. It's 4 hours long. Where I talked about the American Film Institute's top 100 greatest movies of all time list, the original list,
which only 20% of it is racist.
And so the assignment for next week is, Jordan, of those 100 movies, you must select your selections from there. There will be some in there you have seen. There will be some you haven't seen. The only requirement is you gotta do one Charlie Chaplin movie.
Good Birth of a Nation?
No, okay. So here's the thing, Jordan. I know you're going to be tempted to do Birth of a Nation as like a bit. You're going to be tempted to do it as a joke, as a ha-ha, as a funny. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Jordan, it is a 3-hour silent film. You will hate yourself. You will hate this show.
Like
you will hate
torture.
You will hate the very idea of filmmaking itself. You will hate everything.
But most importantly, I will hate you.
It's not worth it. It's not even worth it for content. Don't do it. Just do a Charlie Chaplin movie. They're fun, and they're like an hour and 20 minutes long. They're not very long. You can knock it out in an evening. And because okay, so I did an entire 1 season of that show, and I was going to do a 2nd season, and I got 3 in, and the numbers just weren't doing well, and I gave up hope. So I never finished that list. So I will be tackling the 10th anniversary version of the list, which has movies I did not watch for that show. So I will be watching at least 4 of those if I can. And then I will tackle some of the rest that are still on there that have not changed for my have-seens and whatnot. So Jordan will be tackling 100 movies. He will take... he's not going to watch 100 movies in a week. He will take regular amount of movies.
I don't think I physically could watch 100 movies in a week, even if I stayed up all day, every day.
Some of those movies are like 3 hours long. And then, I will be tackling...
There's not enough hours in the day. I'm sorry.
But it's gonna be fun. We're gonna hopefully get some real classics, some real iconic movies. That's next week. Top 100 next week for our 104 subscribers. Thank you to our 104 subscribers. I think that's it, Jordan. That's the end of the show. Jordan, where can people find you?
Minecraft Monday, Zethgore187, Twitch. Plus, I do this.
It's on a Monday. It's a Monday. It's when he does Minecraft
Mondays.
On Mondays.
Minecraft Monday. Twitch, Zethgore187. And I do this.
And he does this. I also do this, but I also... You know what? I feel like I don't plug the Final Frontier enough anymore. I think it's on Mondays now, Monday nights. I am on a podcast called the Final Frontier, where we talk about Star Trek, the original series. For now,
where you boldly go where no one else has time to.
Me and my good friend Jake, we talk about Star Trek. That's pretty fun. You can find me on TikTok. I'm also, the show's on TikTok. We're Spur of the Moment P on TikTok. You can find us there. If you want to be on the show, there's a handy dandy Google form you can fill out. That'll help you. If you want to sponsor the show, if you want to be one of our many great sponsors, you can email the show at itsjustinsbusiness@gmail.com. The Discord, you can join us on Discord. Discord.
Sign up for our brand spanking new Patreon.
Sign up for that Patreon. Go sign up for Audible. They're pretty cool. Am I forgetting anyone? Oh, rtamedia.org. You can join the network like our good friend Allie did, freshly new to the network. She's now in the network. I don't know if we can say it yet, but we have other people we know might be. You can come join the network too, rtamedia.org. We have fun. It's a good time.
One of us.
Gibble gobble. One of us. Gibble gobble. One of us. That's the end of the show. See you next week, everybody.